Loader Kings today. The people are going to start on the inside of the course. You're going to be nose to nose with your trucks right here. The person that gets to pull away the fastest gets to choose which side they get to back their trucks down the hallway to load up to their unsecured C-can there and unsecured loader, which is very heavy. It weighs about 36 pounds, I would say, at least. Pull it down here into the yard. You have a whole bunch of things in your way today, boys. You have to load up your entire long triple axle trailer. You have to include this pipe, both of these tires right here, which are assembled and quite heavy. They're 40 series tires. You must have this on there to aid in your assistance. This is a larger tire. If you guys remember from the Floating Traxxas Summit all those years ago, those are the tires. You have to have this on, as well as this last pallet. All of this must be done with your loader. These are empty tires. The one on top is a dual tire, making it extra heavy. Good luck with that one, guys. You don't know what you're up against today. Now, you do have forklifts on either side. The forks, again, you'll notice, you gotta have your forks over the sign right there. That is to move all the pallets out of the way. You're not allowed to bump into any of these pallets with your loader, or else it's a what? Yeah, if you guys knock over the dock manager, what happens? You're fired. That's right. We do have the laser alarm set up today. So if you back in and drive your loader down, if any of this moves and sets off an alarm, it's an automatic penalty. So yes, the yard might be empty today. Both of you might be over there doing the penalty. Shall we see who's going first? Yeah. Yes, yes. Now, do I need to say that you have to leave the yard to win? You guys already know that, right? You got to be able to load up the trailer and leave the yard successfully in order to win. Now, you guys are going to have a chance to win $100 today. Yay! Wheel of Fortune. All the money from the show goes back to the boys. Now, everybody must be wondering about the multiplier. If you guys don't know the rules of Loading Kings, check in the video description box below. We've got a link to the rule book there. This is the multiplier. It's a chance to win 5 times your winning. You could win $500 cash today, yeah? Yeah. Yes. You don't have to do the multiplier today, though, boys. What? No, you can do it just by activating it with one of these bricks. If you can include that and get out of the yard, you'll have a chance at winning the multiplier. You can spin it if you choose to. That's the whole point. You don't even have to get it. That sounds like a challenge. It is. Yeah, that's a challenge. Well, when was the last time you ran a loader?
It's been a while, actually.
It has, right? And no experience with the new one?
No. I think it would have been August last time.
Yeah, and at the date of this filming being July or January, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. You guys haven't had a chance to run the new loader yet?
Been a long time since I've been on a loader.
I made sure to change both loaders to the same control configuration, so everything is equal. Shall we see who is going first? Lyle says he wants to judge today. Lyle voluntarily being out to judge. Kevin! Oh! Now, spin. Good luck. If you get spin again, it'll be me that spins it for you. KJ! Yeah! Oh, that is a penalty. He is supposed to be on his driver's mark until he backs down to his truck. Kevin, diligently there. Look at this, a whole container of Primal RC Raminators in there. And an exceptionally heavy loader with forks on the back. Safety is what priority, gentlemen? Number 1. Comedy is what priority, gentlemen? Number 1. Yeah, there's a guy hanging off the side. These guys cannot fall off your loaders today, gentlemen, or else it'll be a penalty.
Oh, there's a dude hanging off the side.
Yes, there's a dude hanging off the side. Yes, it's very challenging. Crazy Joe, fighting his way over there.
Oh my God. So that didn't help you at all, eh, Joe?
No, it's all about smoothness here, Joe.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And go in the right direction. That would help.
Oh, he's having some traction issues over there because all the weight is away from the tongue of his fifth wheel.
Come on here, 3 axle.
There's a dip in the floor.
Come on, Joe.
Oh, there it is.
Smooth and steady, boy. Drink, drink, drink.
Oh, look at this. Very nice, very nice. Yeah, he's fighting his way through. Good job, Kev.
Nice work, Kevin. Pick up the pace, Joe.
Wow, that's all.
Close your face.
He can drive over the black tape, just the beer has to be in its area. By the way, we're looking for a beer sponsor if you know a company that's interested here.
Yeah, we would love it.
Lots of opportunity to be seen, that's for sure. What are you doing on the inside here?
I'm just tripping up the dock.
Penalty, it was the judge's area. Penalty, Kevin. Well, yeah, he's got his judge, he's right there. He's supposed to be doing the judge. His forks are lower than 1 centimeter. Crazy Joe now getting his opportunity. Viewers now realizing, of course, having a heavy load on just the back axles and very light up front, even though the Ramnators are quite a heavy truck.
Right out, correct? I'm not worried about the trailer on the
Yeah, he can, as long as his wheels don't touch the line, he's fine. His trailer wheels cannot go over. Same with his trailer. You can see there's walls on the side. Can't bump the block. Yeah, he's slipping. Oh! Beer down! Oh, that's not even real beer, is it? Oh, man. Oh, uh-oh. Good luck with that, Kevin.
That was awesome.
You know, I've been reading a lot of comments that says there's a lot of Kevin fans out there, a lot of team players of Team Kevin. They're chanting you on right now like a boss. Look at this. Are you kidding me? Holy cow! Wow! Back to work, dude. That was amazing.
Nice job, Kevin.
Are you stuck?
Come on, keep those tires up.
There you go. Oh no, we didn't even plan on this, did we?
Oh, yeah, that's great now.
Yeah, there it is! You got so lucky! Come on, man, I want to see it burn. You might as well start burning if you can't move it.
Can you grab your truck and give me a lift or a push or something?
What did you say?
I want this guy that's not running to give me a...
No, he's a penalty judge. He's already got someone going. Sorry.
Are you driving? Are you
I got
judging?
my truck here, yeah.
Can you fire up
Need a
your
push?
truck and give me a push?
Is that in the rule book?
I don't think it's illegal.
I didn't read it. So, well, you're a competitor. Are you okay with this?
Yeah. Hey, thanks.
Sorry, buddy. Just trying to help.
Kevin kicking butt here. Hired help cannot get in the way of the guy that's working. Look at Kevin skillfully trying to make his way around here with a triple axle as well.
Triple axle truck, triple axle trailer.
Yeah. Come on, Kev, you got this, dude. Major advantage here, even though that front axle just slipping like crazy.
He's unlocked on the front. No.
Yeah, lock diffs on the back, eh?
Yep.
You're there, sir. You're there.
Rip me, please.
It's there the way it is. He had to enter with the tow chain on. If he moves here...
That would be stealing. I don't have a target. That spell isn't ready yet.
Global stock markets have plunged over fears about the coronavirus, and a conflict among major oil-producing nations has sparked a crash in oil prices. They collapsed 31.5% at the start of trading. Brent crude now only costs $31 a barrel. That's the lowest price since January 1991 at the start of the First Gulf War. So this contributed to a collapse on Asian stock markets on Monday. On the leading stock exchange in Tokyo, the Nikkei fell by more than 5%, while the Hang Seng in Hong Kong lost almost 4%. Meanwhile, here in Germany, the DAX has tumbled almost 8% at the start of trading, though it has since recovered a little bit. DW financial correspondent Chelsea Delaney joins us from Frankfurt, Germany's financial capital. Welcome, Chelsea. How nervous are the markets?
I think we've really moved beyond nervousness to real fear-driven trading. One investor described waking up to markets this morning as waking up to Armageddon. People are really quite shocked by the magnitude of the moves we're seeing in markets today. It's by almost any measure the sharpest declines since the financial crisis, but in some cases since September 11th, 2001. So these are really significant declines for global markets. Investors had already been really nervous coming into this week. Over the past 2 weeks, there's been a lot of volatility in financial markets because of the spread of coronavirus and the economic worries about the containment measures and what kind of impact that's going to be. And now you have to add into the mix a price shock for the oil market, which is also going to have a widespread economic impact.
None of which sounds like good news for the various economies around the world.
Definitely not. Yeah, it's hard to find any sort of silver lining at this point. The talk today is, again, really about a global recession. If you think just about coronavirus and the impact that is having, the news over the weekend of these extreme measures that they're taking in Italy to help contain the spread of the virus, there are already a lot of countries that are really economically weak right now. So Germany, Italy, Japan, all very close to recession. If this virus continues to spread, continues to disrupt business, if we continue to see tourism just plummet the way it has, more supply chain disruptions, consumers stopping spending on things like that, that could really tip a lot of economies into recession. And now you think about the oil price decline, that's also going to add a lot of pressure onto oil exporters. So the Middle East, emerging markets, the United States, which has become a really big player in the global oil market, that's really going to have a ripple effect on the global economy.
Chelsea Delaney in Frankfurt, thank you. Well, the number of coronavirus cases around the world has now surged above 107,000. But there is some good news. China has reported no new locally transmitted cases outside Hubei province for a second day, meaning the number of new infections in China is now falling. New infections are also stabilizing in South Korea. German efforts to contain the virus include calling for the cancellation of events expected to host more than 1,000 people. And in the US, a cruise ship with a number of infected people on board is due to dock in California. The ill will be hospitalized and the rest taken off the vessel and asked to self-quarantine. Now to Italy, where the government is enforcing major restrictions on movement. More than 16 million people in the north have been sealed off from the rest of the country. No one's allowed to leave or enter certain areas without good reason. The quarantine affects the region of Lombardy and other northern provinces, including the cities of Milan and Venice. Italy has the most infections outside China. Recent figures show 7,375 confirmed cases and 366 deaths. Tourists have been told to leave affected regions immediately, and for residents, daily life will be severely restricted for nearly a month.
Roadblocks like these could become a familiar sight across northern Italy. Travellers are asked to explain why they're leaving the so-called red zones. Authorities say only those with serious reasons, as well as workers, will be allowed to pass. In Milan's normally bustling centre, only a fraction of the usual crowds, leaving traders worried about their livelihoods.
da tutto il giorno a oggi.
We've been empty all day and haven't served a single meal today in the restaurant.
Aperto nel ristorante, solo che
At this moment, there's an economic impact everywhere in the galleries and in the whole center. I think that not only Milan is closing down, the whole world is closing down.
sta fermando il mondo di questo momento.
There was confusion at airports and train stations as some services continued to run. Officials are still figuring out how to implement travel restrictions. Residents are adjusting to life under lockdown.
We have to remain positive and calm and live the best way possible, taking all precautions. We have to adapt our lifestyles, but we carry on.
To be honest, I think this measure is too restrictive. Closing down the whole region of Lombardy seems like a much too strong reaction.
Top league football games are continuing, but in empty stadiums. Queues quickly formed at supermarkets. Authorities have told residents not to panic buy, insisting supply lines will be kept open. Panic took hold in several prisons. Inmates rioted over new quarantine restrictions. At least one died in the chaos. The number of infected persons continues to rise. Health authorities insist the caution is necessary.
There are no parts of Italy that are completely immune to the virus. There are parts of Italy in which the virus currently circulates less. But the fact that the virus circulates depends on our behavior.
As Italy's tourism centres empty out, the World Health Organization has praised the government's bold and courageous steps, which other countries may soon decide to follow.
So let's get the picture from one of Italy's affected areas. Freelance journalist Silvia Baccardi joins us from Milan. Welcome to DW. How are people coping with the quarantine?
Well, the feeling today, I think, is a bit more sad and depressed than it was yesterday. We kind of we're starting to understand that this is going to be a long journey, and it's sad to be at home. But at the same time, people are also starting to understand that this is like a very drastic measure in order to help the health public system, because there are not enough intensive care spots that we can actually use. So this is like a very important measure that we need to put in place.
And we saw in the report, we touched on the effect on business. How is the quarantine affecting businesses there in Milan?
Well, I haven't been out, of course, because I can't, but I've seen that many shops, I've seen the past few days that shops are quite empty and restaurants are quite empty, cafes are mainly empty. But the government has assured that we're not going to have any problems in importing goods, in letting goods pass through this area that is now called the orange area. It's not red anymore, meaning that goods can pass by the borders, and people that actually want to work outside, if they have like a work reason, they can travel outside the orange zone.
And so what is the government doing to try and offset the economic impact of this outbreak?
Well, Giuseppe Conte said, our Prime Minister said that he's going to spend 7.5 billion euros in helping the companies and the families that are affected by this. But he also said that at the end of this shock economic measure will be put in place. He talked about Genova model, which was the model that was put in place right after the Morandi Bridge fell a year and a half ago, meaning that it will try to stop political fight and contain bureaucracy in order to put new economic measure in place.
Good talking to you. Try and stay safe. Silvia Baccardi in Milan, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Germany has recorded its first coronavirus death after one of its citizens died in Egypt. In Germany itself, the number of known infections has surpassed 900, with the country also increasingly worried about the economic impact of the outbreak. To stop the spread of the virus, Germany's health minister Jens Spahn has called for a temporary ban on all gatherings of more than 1,000 people. Well, joining us now to talk more about the coronavirus and how Germany is dealing with it, we've got our DW political correspondent Nina Hase and Gerhard Elfers from DW Business. Good to see you both this morning. Nina, let's start with you. Germany's political leaders held crisis talks about the coronavirus late into the night. What did they decide?
Well, one of the major decisions is, of course, this official recommendation by the German government to cancel.
Han siktar på ram att 220 ram kommer från någonstans här slut.
Ja, 31-22-30 försök och 32-92-20 försök få sticknapp i plats trycka på talpåläggen.
So here we have a new episode of active driving encounters starting on a bicycle path. It's a few minutes before the real action starts, but this second police cruiser is on its way to a rampage Mercedes-Benz Sprinter truck driven by a guy high on drugs, chased by another cruiser. Both cruisers are Volvo XC90 it is, cross country. The one we're sitting in is the older version, and the one chasing the truck is the newer version. So both are four-wheel drive. The car they're chasing is Sprinter with 163 horsepower, and the car we're sitting in has 220 horsepower, and the V90 cross country D5 all-wheel drive has 235 horsepower. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 7.5 seconds. I mean, decent. This one we're sitting in is 8.2 seconds, 0 to 100. But given the conditions, I mean, it's slippery, it's full of snow, it's in the center of Stockholm, or just like outside the center of Stockholm. It's a fair choice. And the only thing this Sprinter has that the police cars doesn't is the weight. You have 3.5 tons gross weight. So probably it is things in this truck which makes it weigh 3.5 tons. So the force is the mass times acceleration. So you have to respect that. And this first XC cross country just comes up here in like with a minute's notice until the secondary police car comes up, and the truck actually crashes into the first police car once, and also the secondary several times. You can hear that from the secondary police car. Anyway, I'll let you enjoy and fill in the comments below what you think. And it's a difficult situation, but all in all it ended well. No people hurt.
Han har inte avsikt att stanna, han vill verkligen dra. Kom. Ses där. Ja, 37, 22, 30 på insats 22. Ja, fan. Efter. Då ligger vi Skattungsvägen, 6 Skattungsvägen, 37-22-30. Nu är på Storsjövägen. Han har så insats. Ja, 22 är det. Han är en som är bilen bra. Ja, från 37 till 230. Han verkar vara ensam i bilen. Han är inne på återvändsgränd i detta nu på Storsjövägen.
Jag har fattat inne på återvändsgränder och 32 och 92,20 då är ni närmaste resastyrka.
Han fastnar.
Ja, vi är nära. Låt 37,22 kolla.
Vi ligger bakom Åminnevägen. Han kommer ha väldigt svårt att köra ifrån oss. Känner du?
Ser du det?
Ja, nu är vi på en gångväg. Vi avbryter med distans. Vi återväntar och kommer fram någonstans här slut.
Ja, 31,230 försök och 32, 92,20 försök få nu sticka till plats och rycka på talpåläggen.
Ja, Årsta torgs tvärbana. Årsta torg tvärbana. Vi går ut igen upp mot Liljeholmen. Vänta. Svärdlån, Årstabergsvägen. Tung trafik framför. Vi ska försöka lägga oss framför om det går. Men han får jobba vidare själv som det går. Han kommer inte komma bättre framåt.
Det kommer bli en patrull ute i periferin som förbereder spikmattor. Vi som ligger precis bakom och nära, vi hinner aldrig ut med spikmattan. Så sätt position riktning.
Korsningen Årstadal och Årsta kombiterminal finns då uppe vid E4, uppe vid Västbergamotet. Så kan ni ställa upp där och försöka blockera. Nej, Årstadal i detta nu. Årstadal i detta nu. Han kommer på Sjöviksvägen, Sjöviksbacken. Förhoppningen är att han ska få stopp i trafiken. Vi ska försöka ta oss lite ut av detta nu. Så fort han stannar. Kör framför mig. Fuck.
Ja, vi totalt från Södermalmsbil. Rydhamnsbron, alldeles utmärkt till läsräckan.
Ja, Sjöviksbacken fortfarande. Det är svårt när folk släpper fram han hela tiden. Men som sagt, det är en 3,5-tonnare. Han kommer antingen åka in i någon.
Här är det stopp.
Eller stopp. Vänta. Nej. Usch, ta lugnt. Han kommer. Bra. Nej, fan! Ja, han tränger sig fult i trafiken. Än så länge har han inte åsamkat en olycka. Men han trycker lite lyktstolp allt möjligt. Grov vårdslöshet i trafiken detta nu. 37-230.
Position och riktning, kom.
Han ligger fortfarande Sjöviksbacken. Sjöviksbacken.
Genskjutare från Liljeholmsbron och från Liljeholmen, det håller för via Årstabergsvägen.
Ja, ner mot Mariedalen, detta med Sjöviksbacken och Vigårdsgatan.
32,50. Jag vill att ni håller er kvar på den sidan om järnvägen som är nu. Ifall ni svänger höger nu, va? Så stanna kvar på den sidan.
Ja, Sjöviksvägen i detta nu. Ja, gå så här parallellt.
Och 3-0, du kan lägga på 32, 93-20. Vi kommer från Minusvägen och kör Södermalmshållet. Slut. 32-20, välkomna. Och vi har även en citypatrull på väg. Klart.
Ja, Sjöviksvägen mot Marieviksgatan. Fan, jag vill inte ha icke-bälte heller för fan. Ja, höger.
3-0, 36 och 1-10, Sjöviksbacken.
Okej, fan stanna nu. Fuck!
36 och 10.
Ja, ner Marieviksgatan. Om patruller från Liljeholmen kan komma hit till Gröndal så blir det förträffligt.
Kalifornien 80 också på Liljeholmen Gröndal.
Han ligger fortfarande Marieviksgatan och snurrar runt här nere i Marievik. Vi borde kunna blocka honom så att vi inte kommer ut från Marievik och påfarta Liljeholmen. Det är fortfarande nere i Marievik så han kommer inte komma upp dit i alla fall.
Han kommer upp i Liljeholmsbron förmodligen då och går vidare mot Gröndal och Mejerivägen. Vi passerar Lindholmens centrum nu. Och tvärkant trafiken också tjänar.
Ja, vi är på väg dit till detta nu. Vi ligger i vägsvägen, snart under Liljeholmsbron. Ja, under bro. Fortsätter med Iviksvägen. Ser man tar vägen.
Vi har 32,250 då längs E4. Sköndalsvägen. Ni håller E4 sen.
Ja, nere med Iviksvägen. Liljeholmsstrand. Liljeholmsstrand.
32, 92, 20. Vägen, Lövholmsvägen. Gränsbroaveringen.
Nej, han prejar oss. Jäveln ska få nu. Liljeholmsstrand. Han försöker hela tiden indikera på att han ska stanna, sen så trycker han oss. Det är fortfarande Liljeholmsstrand. Har vi några bilar här nere? Där är bilen. Han kommer mot er nu. Ja, nu kommer han mot er. Han kommer trycka om ni inte haft det. Ta mig till spikmatt och ta försiktigt. Ja, han siktar på rammat 32, lite 220 rammat. Ja, vi försökte grovmisshandel. 37, 30. Trekantsvägen, Gröndalsvägen. Kör framför. Och blockan om det går. 290, kom upp på ryggen här nu.
Alla punkar.
Ja, fram. Stanna. Så.
Känner du passat vad här i Stockholm? Stäng av spelarna. Ja, stäng av stengriparen på grönt läge. Riktigt bra jobbat, en gripen grönt läge. Jag ber kvarstanna här utmärkt. Då behöver ni fler resurser fram till plötsligt. Ja, vi har gått med resurser från 3722 till att hantera detta. 100 varning på förra.
Southern Sweden. Police have been tracking and listening to telephone surveillance of these two con artists scamming older people of their savings, and it's imperative that they caught these guys in the act and also with these cell phones that they've been using. So they're having like a kind of national SWAT team set up to run in and get them when they are at McDonald's drive-thru, smash the window. But once they smash the window, they take off. And it's a chase. We also have a helicopter, so basically they're done for. And police find the phones and they arrest the guys, and they get between 1 and 2.5 years in jail. And during this chase they get a flat tire on one of the rear tires, and you can see on this black hot helicopter image, forward looking infrared image, where black is hot, white is cold. Hot parties, and they have something wrong with the car. Anyway, we jump straight into the action. In the end, it's a complete clip. here we jump in straight into the action. Comment below, and thanks to Police Pursuit Sweden, efterföljande Sverige, for the clip. Like this, and...
That spell isn't ready yet. Wait here. Stay here. Stay put. Wait here.
Stockholm, Sweden. Saab 95 2.0 turbo, 180 horsepower. Driver is high on illegal drugs and will not stop. The chase is well over 60 kilometers, and to my surprise, the average speed was like 209 kilometers per hour. The top speed of his car is 211, and he's doing it on a spare left front tire. So he's going all out. And just look, this is like really a nice planned exemplary stop from a high speed. Spike strip, blocking off, the off ramps and several cars boxing him in. I mean, doing over 200 kilometers per hour, you cannot just fishtail one. They will just fly off the road, and probably the police could be responsible for his probably death. So this stop was done in a, I would say, really safe way. You see how the police driver avoids the spike strip here in the left lane. And so respect to the officers here that synced this very properly. I don't know if it was luck that he turned around so they could like set up that spike strip, but who knows. Comment below and see my conclusion in the end, and do not do drugs, and even better, also skip alcohol if you can, especially when driving.
I veckans blåljus Östergötland.
Sprängdåd i centrala Norrköping. Polisen vill ha tips. Bensinmackarna ändrar sina rutiner för att komma åt bränslesmitarna. Och så har vi träffat aspiranter som snart är klara poliser.
Hej och välkomna till ett nytt avsnitt av Blåljus Östergötland. I dagens program ska vi träffa några polisaspiranter. Men först några händelser från veckan och vi börjar med en explosion i Norrköping.
Vid 1-tiden under natten mot måndag detonerade en sprängladdning på Nygatan i Norrköping. En dörr demolerades helt och flera fönster på fastigheten splittrades av den kraftiga explosionen. Nationella bombskyddet och lokala krimtekniker undersökte platsen noga innan avspärrningarna hävdes. Enligt en boende i fastigheten ska poliserna ha hittat kablar och ett batteri, men det är inget som polisen vill bekräfta. Varför skedde en explosion just här kommer utredningen att ta reda på. Men en teori som polisen jobbar efter är att sprängningen riktats mot ett brottsoffer i ett tidigare rättsfall. Personen har trakasserats, bland annat genom att dödshot sprayats på dörren och fönster har slagits sönder. Personen har nu flyttats från fastigheten. I samband med explosionen har en man setts springa från platsen och korsa Nygatan i höjd med Kristinaskolan. Troligtvis har han sprungit upp mot Södra promenaden. Polisen är angelägna om att få in tips om mannen. Har du sett någon som uppträtt besynnerligt vid den här tidpunkten? Ring polisen på 114 14. Det här börjar bli en allt vanligare syn. Förskottsbetalning antingen kontant eller med kort krävs för att bensinpumparna ska öppnas. I storstäderna där problemen med bensinsmitare är större har betalning i förskott funnits länge. På OKQ8 i Skarphagen i Norrköping märkte man under våren att bensinsnatterierna ökade kraftigt. Upp till 3-4 gånger i veckan smet förare utan att göra rätt för sig. Men sedan förskottsbetalning införts har stölderna upphört. På Circle K har man också märkt att bensinstölderna ökat. På den här macken har man än så länge inte infört förskottsbetalning, men det är en tidsfråga innan även de inför rutinen. Strax efter midnatt natten mot söndag körde en personbil av vägen och voltade. De stannade inte när en polispatrull ville göra en kontroll utan försökte smita från polisen. Men de hamnade tämligen omgående i diket. I bilen färdades 2 män, 26 och 28 år gamla. Den äldre av dem skadades allvarligt vid olyckan och fördes till Vrinnevi-sjukhusets intensivvårdsavdelning. Den yngre av dem var den som körde bilen. Han fick lindriga skador och misstänks nu för drograttfylleri och grov olovlig körning.
Det är många poliser som har lämnat yrket av olika skäl. Det kan handla om lönen och om arbetsvillkor. Vi har träffat några polisaspiranter som alldeles snart är klara med sin utbildning och frågat dem varför de vill bli poliser trots att det är många som lämnar yrket.
Skyttarna redo? Färdiga!
Det är ju många som har lämnat polisyrket av olika skäl. Men du är på väg in i det. Hur tänker du då?
Ja, alltså jag tror det är viktigt att man bildar sin egen uppfattning hela tiden om allt man gör. Man ska inte lyssna så mycket på vad som sägs och alla klagomål förrän man själv har upplevt och förstår. Man tar det med en nypa salt, bildar sin egen uppfattning och sen så får man se helt enkelt är det värt att stanna eller inte.
Ja, det är ju ett problem, det har man ju hört också. Men jag känner ju ändå så att det är på gång att bli en förändring. Så förhoppningsvis när man själv kommer ut så är man ju på uppgång igen. Och man behöver ju bilda sig en egen uppfattning. Så jag vill ändå ha ett ganska blankt papper tills jag kommer ut. Så ändå så har jag en väldigt bra positiv bild om polisarbetet. Så jag vill ju testa och se hur det är.
Och hur känns det hittills?
Jo, men det är inga konstigheter. Det är jättekul. Det är jag har bara varit med om positiva saker.
Man har som sagt väldigt bra kollegor så man kan öppna sig och man får stöttning hela tiden. Och ja, men man är som ett lag helt enkelt. Så man jobbar lagvis tillsammans.
Den här kullen av aspiranter har bara ett par veckor kvar innan de är färdiga poliser. De ska tillbaka till studieorterna och färdigställa ett arbete och i slutet av november kommer de bli anställda vid en polismyndighet någonstans i landet. Under sin 6 månader långa aspiranttjänstgöring har de varit i den ingripande verksamheten. De har jobbat med utredningar, har varit på trafiken och försökt lära sig allt man behöver kunna som polis.
Det har varit jättebra, har varit väldigt lärorikt och mycket att göra och man har verkligen slängts in i hetluften så det har varit jättekul.
Jag är jätteglad att jag hamnade just i Norrköping. Mycket att göra, mycket utbrett, man får åka på allting. Jag tror att man blir en bra polis väldigt fort här med tanke på hur mycket det finns att göra och duktiga, kompetenta kollegor.
Aspiranterna räknas inte som en resurs och går utöver ordinarie personal när man räknar minimibemanning. Men de har samma befogenheter som en riktig polis och de åker på alla typer av jobb.
Det har varit ganska många olika. Allt ifrån knivskärningar till självmord till ja, men bara prata med barn. Det är mycket som berör, det gör det. Och det är roligt. Man känner sig ändå så behagd hela tiden.
Alla aspiranter som just nu gör sin utbildning i Östergötland kommer att bli godkända. Om de inte skulle ha blivit det, finns åtgärder att sätta in.
Det som kan hända är att vi förlänger deras aspirant. Och då kanske man kan få 3 eller 6 månaders förlängning. Och då har man en ny möjlighet att bättra på och visa att man kan göra det man ska kunna göra. Och exempelvis så är det polisbilkörning eller om det är skytte eller om det är något allmän lämplighet. Så får man då den här tiden på sig att utveckla det. Och misslyckas man med det, då får man tyvärr avsluta sin aspirant och då kan man inte bli polis längre.
Hur ofta sker det att man får antingen förlänga sin aspiranttid eller att man inte får bli polis?
Under de senaste 3 omgångarna som jag har varit handledare så har det aldrig hänt. Så det är inte jättevanligt. Det sker ju väldigt många urvalsprocesser innan de kommer så här långt. Och många har redan fallit bort redan där.
Just nu är det 7 aspiranter i Norrköping. Nästa år kommer att komma många fler. Man räknar med ungefär 45-50 nya aspiranter till hela länet. Och det kommer att bli en utmaning organisatoriskt.
Man vill ju att alla ska få den utbildning de behöver och ha rätt till. Och jag hoppas vi kan erbjuda dem det. Men jag tror också att organisationen förutom oss har tagit höjd för det här. Så jag tror att de har räknat med det här och har satt in de resurserna som behövs.
Varför kommer det komma så många samtidigt?
Just Östergötland har haft ett visst bortfall tror jag. Det har försvunnit, framförallt i Norrköping har försvunnit mycket poliser. Så att vi behöver ha den resursen vi kan få.
Så de är välkomna de här nya?
De är väldigt välkomna.
Eldupphör! Vad tror du?
I början av september misshandlades en man i 50-årsåldern till döds. En man i 40-årsåldern ringde själv till polisen och berättade om händelsen. Den misstänkte gärningsmannen häktades av Linköpings tingsrätt, på sannolika skäl misstänkt för mord. Han omhäktades i måndags och åtal ska vara väckt senast den 6 oktober. Även en kvinna är misstänkt för inblandning i dådet, men det saknas tillräckliga skäl att hålla henne häktad. Med tanke på att förundersökning fortfarande pågår vill inte åklagaren ge några detaljer kring vad som hände i lägenheten. En måndagskväll i mitten av augusti fick en man i 50-årsåldern 2 knivhugg i ryggen när han passerade genom Hörsalsparken i Norrköping. En 18-årig man utdelade knivhuggen samtidigt som han själv filmade händelsen med sin egen mobiltelefon. En tonårstjej fick filmen skickad till sig. Hon visade den för polisen. Med hjälp av en spårningsfunktion i mobilen kunde 18-åringen snart gripas. Han har nu åtalats för grov misshandel vid Norrköpings tingsrätt och dömts till 8 månaders fängelse samt utvisning från Sverige. Mannen nekar till brott, men på filmen i hans mobiltelefon går han att identifiera, bland annat genom sina kläder och ringar. Hovrätten fastställde domen mot ishockeyspelaren Jakob Lilja som crosscheckade en motspelare i nacken i mars 2015. Tingsrätten dömde Lilja för misshandel till villkorlig dom och 40 dagsböter på sammanlagt 26 000 kronor, vilket hovrätten alltså höll med om utan ändringar. Hovrätten skriver att Liljas agerande omöjligen kan uppfattas som idrottsligt motiverat. Utöver bötesbeloppet ska Lilja även betala advokatkostnader på drygt 19 500 kronor. Liljas advokat säger att hans klient inte är nöjd med domslutet och att domen eventuellt kommer att överklagas.
Och med det är blåljus slut för den här veckan. Se oss igen nästa torsdag. Ha det fint!
Italy puts a quarter of its population into quarantine to contain the coronavirus. Should other countries follow suit, or is it too little too late to stop the spread? This is Inside Story. Hello, I'm James Bays. With the number of dead rising fast, the third highest number of cases worldwide, and 16 million people forced into quarantine, Italy's government has ordered some of the harshest measures outside China to try and contain the coronavirus. Italy's economic heart is under strain. The financial and fashion capital Milan resembles a ghost town. All weddings, funerals, football matches and other large public gatherings are cancelled. Everyone's been banned from leaving 16 provinces in the north. Many flocked to train stations and airports before the lockdown came into force. It's at least until early next month.
Quello che sta succedendo nella mia città.
What is happening in my city is worrying me, and it's also saddening because Milan is a lively city, and to see it like this today is almost a defeat for me. I never would have thought this would happen.
We were able to leave because there were no instructions. I asked the Italian Foreign Office, and other than taking our temperature, they can't really do much.
Italy's government is asking the European Union to implement urgent measures as the virus spreads quickly across the continent. The UK is imposing 2 weeks of mandatory self-isolation for anyone returning from northern Italy. France, with the second highest number of cases in Europe, has banned gatherings of more than 1,000 people. Let's bring in our panel to discuss all this further. Here in the studio with me, we have Andreas Kappis. He's a lecturer in the Department of Psychology at the University of London, who researches human behaviour and uncertainty. In Milan, via Skype, we have Maralisa Palumbo. She's a journalist and an editor at the Italian daily newspaper Corriere della Sera. And in Geneva, Annie Sparrow, a professor of population, health science and policy at Mount Sinai. Welcome to you all. Thank you for joining us for this discussion. Maralisa, if I can start by speaking to you, we're going to talk about the facts here, we're going to talk about the science, but first, I want to get a little bit of the mood. Can you tell us what it feels like right now in Milan?
You know, it's really weird. Everyone is anxious and worried because everyone has to understand that this is really unprecedented. And none of us has ever had experience of something like this. Most of the population has not fought through the wars, so this is really new. And people are adjusting, companies are adjusting, doing smart work, work from home. But still, it's difficult also not to have contact with people, so we are waiting, and the numbers are always more worrying.
Okay, well, we'll talk about some of the restrictions that have been put in place a little bit later. But Annie in Geneva, I'd like to talk to you about the case of Italy. Why, in your view, as a public health expert, have things got so bad in Italy?
Well, to begin with, Italy has an older population, and they are more vulnerable. And I think that although Italy started off testing as soon as they thought about it, as soon as they could, it just wasn't apparent, the scale of it. And there are several lessons that we've learned from China that are only just becoming clearer now. First of all, even though China looks as if they contained or suppressed the epidemic by locking down Wuhan and placing people under quarantine, in fact, the whole country in China was placed on lockdown. No one was allowed to travel anywhere. If you wanted to travel to Beijing, you had to self-quarantine you had to go to mandatory quarantine for 14 days. Now in Italy, locking down northern Italy, as we are seeing, is unlikely to be as effective. It could help in some way, suppress some of the spread to Switzerland, to Geneva, where I am, just north of Italy. But at the same time, this is a virus which exposes all the flaws in the healthcare system. And, some of the first people to get infected were healthcare workers. And it has an older population than, for example, South Korea, which has a very similar number of cases infected, but Italy has 7 times the number of deaths. So the virus itself exposes the flaws in the healthcare system, the flaws in infection prevention and control, and the vulnerabilities of the population that it is infecting. So here we have a really vulnerable elderly population, or population with a lot of comorbidities, and the virus is bringing that to the fore.
Okay, Marilisa, if I can ask you about how this appears to have started in Italy. I know your newspaper has done a lot of work on this, and I believe it's all been traced to one town of 16,000 people in Lombardy, and also it seems the local hospital might actually have spread the disease.
Yeah, the problem is, and it's happening, I think, everywhere in Europe and also in the US, that we don't have case zero, patient zero. So we know the first person that got infected, but we still don't know today from whom he took the virus. So that's the huge problem, and that's the problem that every country is facing right now. So it happened in Codogno, this small town, and it went undetected for quite a while until the guy who is really young, 38, got really sick. And then they tested him, and then they discovered that he got coronavirus. But in the meanwhile, the whole hospital was infected, and the population around him. Also, he had a very strong social life, so he had done a marathon. He met so many people at the restaurants, and from there, it was almost unstoppable.
And I assume in those early stages that the fact that so much is unknown adds, Andreas, to the scare factor in all of this.
I mean, in some ways, it's almost the opposite. So in the beginning, if there's a lot of unknowns, I think our human mind is very well equipped with kind of keeping any type of threat at bay. So most people, when they hear about the virus the first time, when they hear about the spread of it, maybe in a different country, and the government is urging you to do small sacrifices in your daily life, most people will not be very willing to do that because they feel that they will be fine. I think what we know from my research, but also from research from others, is that people are very good at kind of neglecting unwanted information as long as they can. So I think what you can see in most countries very much matches with the human mind, that we, in the beginning, are very reluctant to give up anything, to sacrifice something, to invest a little bit more effort in order to kind of increase the greater good. So I think in the beginning, the unknown actually enhances our tendency to kind of reject anything that leads us to invest more effort or to kind of threaten us a little bit.
Marilisa, I don't want to get too political here, but there is, of course, a political element to this. And there is the sort of historic backdrop, the historic tussle in Italy between the regions and the capital, Rome. How's that played out?
Yeah, that's been a problem both on a sanitary and medical point of view, and also the political handling of the situation. Because every region has, can choose its own epidemiologic settings, as to say, and the same with politics. So the last fight between the Rome government and the regions was about the lockdown. One of the governors of Veneto, one of the biggest region affected by the virus, said that the measures are too strong. So I really think that, of course, Italy is especially difficult because of the history you mentioned, but I also think that it will be difficult everywhere in the Western world. And so I guess that Italy is really a test case for everyone else watching, because it's so much easier for a central government, who is an authoritarian government, to put in place tough restriction and implement them. But for an open society, it's much more difficult.
You say a test case and a case study for many countries around the world, and some of that test is how much you should contain people and what's your message to them. It's worth telling you that one of the leaders of Italy's governing coalition tried to pass on messages. Nicola Zingaretti called for calm in a video he recorded while he was on isolation at home after a week ago posting this photo on Instagram saying, let's not lose our habits. We can't shut down Milan or Italy. Our economy is stronger than fear. Let's go for an aperitif, a coffee or a pizza. So that's one of the key political leaders who now has the coronavirus. How does that add, Andreas, to the scare factor in all of this?
Well, I think it's for governments, for health organizations, it's a very fine balance to kind of trying to get people alert and induce a sense of urgency that they should stay at home, for instance, that they maybe should avoid going to public places, that they should wash their hands regularly and so forth. So they need to induce a little sense, but then they don't want to have it kind of flip into a panic. So I think so I think that's a very fine line these organizations have to thread. So on the one hand, what we know is that if officials stress how uncertain it is that, for instance, if you go out, you might be fine, others might be fine. If we stress that uncertainty, people become very optimistic and they kind of feel like, well, things will be fine, I don't have to do anything. And on the other hand, if you want to kind of amp up the panic button a little bit, then emphasizing on the harm of the disease, then this will increase more panic. So you can see in Italy, more deaths are reported. You might have heard of somebody who you know who died or who's in danger of dying. Now the well-being of other people is at the forefront of people's minds. And now people become very pessimistic and set into this more panic mode, which has ironically some benefits because it leads people to be more preventive, to be more precautious in their actions. But obviously for the individual, feeling a sense of panic and anxiety and pessimism around them is not great for their well-being.
But of course it also has a disastrous effect on the stock markets, which are plummeting, on the oil price, which is crashing. Marilisa, back to you. Just quickly tell us what the restrictions are that you are now facing.
So the lockdown area, which is not really a quarantine area like Wuhan, but still there are restrictions. So you cannot go in and out this huge area, Lombardy and 16 provinces. But the thing is that it's very up to the single person because you need a self-certification to go out and in. And of course, they are doing checks and there are some checkpoints somewhere, but not everywhere. So, I mean, if you get caught, then you risk even to go to jail, but still they cannot control everyone.
Okay, but
that's why.
Can you, for example, go to a restaurant? Can you go to work? Can you go shopping at the moment?
Okay, no. The bar and restaurants are open only until 6 p.m. and then they are closed, so you cannot go to a restaurant in the evening, and most of the shops are closed. Theaters are closed, movie theaters are closed, all sports events are being transmitted closed doors, so without public, without an audience. And you cannot go to gym. You can go to work, but only so some companies are working from, like, everyone is working from home. Other companies are doing some shift so that there are less people around in the offices.
Annie, those are the restrictions now in Italy. Do you think they are sensible restrictions, and what should other countries make of them?
Coming back to the lessons learned from China, it was the same there where, as in, no one was allowed out. Anyone who was out had to wear a mask. People were strongly discouraged from, leaving the home, and in some places weren't allowed to. Now, as Marilisa pointed out, a government in open societies can't enforce those measures. I think it's deeply important for the governments to actually tell the truth, and for there to be no spin, no political profiteering, because public trust depends on, public health depends on public trust. So in order for those, those conditions to actually be effective, then you have to be able to trust that they are going to work. And in reality, they will work to a limited degree. But, the problems are, again, coming back to the patient zero. We don't know the patient zero in any country. We don't know it in China. We still don't know the origin of the virus. We don't know the animal. And We do know that healthcare workers in the hospitals are quite often sites of transmission, and that's exactly what happened in Lombardy. And there were several, in the first week there were five healthcare workers infected, and so this is a sort of an ongoing problem until we get a handle on that type of transmission and the transmission that we can't see, the invisible transmission that is, passed on. As one of the first persons did when you're not aware of it. School kids are not going to die from this disease, but they certainly can get sick. They won't have a fever. It's much harder to detect. And that's why, of course, Italy has taken the drastic step of closing all the schools.
So, Annie,
however,
so Annie, let me ask you about the lesson for other countries from this. Because in Italy, as you see, the public gatherings have been severely restricted, and yet in other countries very close by, you're in Switzerland, you know the situation in France where gatherings of over 1,000 people are banned. Germany, though, where Andreas comes from originally, they're still having football matches, potentially with tens of thousands of people attending. Here in the UK, opening in a matter of hours, one of the biggest horse racing festivals in the world, the Cheltenham Festival, is going ahead. I'm told over the days of that, there's about 250,000 people attending. If you had an elderly relative, what would you say to them? Should they, in France, in the UK, in Germany, should they attend sporting events if they're over 70? What's your advice?
I need to get closer.
Well, that's a very specific way of protecting people, and yes, I think it is important. I mean, all of these things are taking place, as you say, in the UK and in Germany, and to some degree that's really helpful for populations. I mean, we're humans, and we really, we are a social people, so it's very, very hard with this virus. This is not a war, a disaster where it's the spirit of the Blitz and we can, get together to combat it, because that is one of the ways the virus wins. In the US, of course, this is March Madness. This is like college, the basketball season, and it's this is a very difficult sort of time for lots of countries. And I think we do have to protect, the groups that we know are particularly vulnerable. And remembering, there's been a lot of times when this virus has been compared to Spanish flu, which had a mortality rate of 2%. Now, in Italy, we see a mortality rate of 5%, which is pretty high. But what people forget about Spanish flu is that a lot of people died not from the virus, but from the bacterial pneumonia that followed. So I think we have to start getting really smart about how to protect those who are vulnerable, those who have other comorbidities like cancer or immune depression, and saying, okay, let's anticipate they might need antibiotics for bacterial disease. Let's make sure they have absolutely optimal nutrition. Let's make sure they have excellent care. Let's think about how we might want to, quarantine or provide extra protection now to residential villages. One of the reassuring things about this virus is that kids do seem to be protected by virtue of being a kid, which is great. That's not what we saw in H1N1 and swine flu in 2009. And pregnant women were, very much disadvantaged also, because we saw, that their unborn babies were very much at risk. That's not something that we saw particularly in SARS, at all. So at least we have some positive pieces here where closing the schools makes good sense in many ways, so that schools kids don't get it asymptomatically and then shed it, particularly to grandparents.
Annie, I'll stop you there for a moment, because I noticed that you referred to the situation in the US as being like March Madness. Let me refer you to a comment that came from a chap called Thomas Bossert. He was the Homeland Security Advisor of the United States, and he was that job for the beginning of the Trump administration, and yet he has said this on Twitter. There is a clear lesson for economic advisors worried that school closures and social distancing will lead to economic loss. There's no advantage to being a late mover. Now Italy will lose unrecoverable productivity and be too late to prevent peak disease spread. Andreas, that's a former advisor of President Trump, and President Trump coming out and attacking the Democrat Party and saying everyone, including the media, is overreacting. One assumes it doesn't help the situation if everyone's not on the same page.
Well, I think there are several potentially negative consequences for that. I think if the situation turns dire in the US, then I think the US government would have to have a somewhat of a U-turn. I think the speakers beforehand really highlighted how important trust is. If you undermine that trust, how then you react to that? I think, and so that would be, I think, a negative consequence of that if we kind of like now say, oh, this is not a problem, and it turns out it is much more of a problem. I think in uncertain situations to any leader, and I think this is what was said beforehand, it's important if it's uncertain to say that it is uncertain, because once things turn around, then you lost the people, you lost the trust. So for instance, if you say this is not a problem as if it would be certain, and then it turns out that it's actually a problem, then you kind of lost people. So I think one of the recommendations we psychologists always have to kind of highlight, this is not a certain situation, it is uncertain, these are the consequences, and let people make their minds up.
Annie, is there a nightmare scenario for all of Europe, and we've got to think about the whole world here, that in Europe, Italy is not the worst, it's just the first?
Yes, easily. And we really don't know what this looks like. You know, uncertainty is the defining characteristic of any pathogen. And pathogens themselves are apolitical, but epidemics are not. I mean, pathogens don't distinguish between right and left, between dictators and democracy.
Old school RuneScape is genuinely one of the best MMORPGs to play right now, and I know with me saying that a lot of people who have never played the game before are probably going to roll their eyes, but please hear me out.
Yep.
Old school RuneScape is an MMO that, if you can get over the graphics, which I've personally come to love due to its minimalist yet distinctive style, has absolutely everything. It's got the most difficult and most unique quests in the entire MMO genre. It's got PvP content for low, medium and endgame players. It's got some extremely difficult PvE content in the form of bosses, wave-based challenges and raids. It's got a ton of non-combat life skills, a player-driven economy, a large active player base that's actually growing rather than shrinking. The game isn't pay to win. Most of the world is interactable and serves a purpose. The players actually get to vote on the content that makes it into the game. There's regular updates. The game doesn't take itself too seriously. The community as a whole are generally quite friendly. There's a ton of mini games and distractions. Despite what it may look like, the skill cap in this game is very high. And unlike traditional theme park MMOs, content in RuneScape isn't made completely irrelevant whenever new stuff is added. On top of that, it's a game that gives you a deep feeling of constant non-linear progression. There's also a bit of an esports scene in the form of Deadman mode where players compete for money. And when it comes to media platforms such as Twitch, YouTube and Reddit, this game has so many top tier content creators that will give you hours of content to watch whilst you're training your skills. I felt it necessary to kind of rap god some of the best parts of this game to you right off the bat, because most of the time whenever I talk about old school RuneScape, people who haven't played the game take one look at the graphics, see that it's a fairly old game and just completely write it off.
Yeah, you're right. Very,
a
very
common
right.
misconception is that people only play this game for nostalgia, and there's no point in getting into it now because the glory days are over. When in reality, old school RuneScape has roughly 4 times more concurrent players than Black Desert's NAEU version, with many new players joining the game that didn't even play it back in the day. Just to put the popularity of this game into perspective, if OSRS was on Steam, it'd be battling with Warframe for the 7th highest concurrent players on Steam charts. On October the 30th, Old School RuneScape's also coming to mobile devices, and as far as I'm aware, it'll be one of the only full non-pay-to-win MMORPGs to ever be released on mobile. This is the only mobile game I've ever been excited to play, and when it comes out, I think the game will get quite a large population boost. With all that said, let's back up a bit for those of you that have never played Old School RuneScape before and are a bit confused as to what this game actually is.
Versions of RuneScape.
First of all, there's currently 2 versions of RuneScape. You've got RuneScape 3, which is the most modern version.
Oh, okay, so everybody hates RuneScape 3 and it sucks, right? Because like that's my understanding of RuneScape. I don't know a whole lot about it, but everybody hates it and it sucks. Okay. The graphics do look better though.
version of the game, and you've got old school RuneScape, which was initially based on the 2007 version of RuneScape and was released in 2013 as a legacy version of the game for the players who didn't enjoy the direction in which RuneScape 3 was heading and quit the game in the years prior. The main differences between RuneScape 3 and old school, in short, is that RS3 feels a lot more like a traditional MMO in the sense that it has a hotkey style combat system, more detailed graphics, voice acted quests,
It does look
and
better.
a lot of microtransactions, often at times feeling rather cash grabby. Progression's also much faster, and it has half the player population that old school has. RuneScape 3 isn't a bad game, and I do enjoy it from time to time, but it doesn't have the same charm or support that old school has, so I definitely recommend old school RuneScape over RuneScape 3.
Okay.
So what do you actually do in RuneScape, and how do you get into it? Well, as this game is definitely more of a sandbox MMO than a theme park, it's all about setting your own goals. Some people have the goal of building their character in a way that makes them optimal for PvP, others don't train any combat skills at all, instead maxing out all of their non-combat skills to become really rich. Some want to complete every quest, achievement and challenge in the game, kill every boss and clear all the raids, and others just join clans and mess around in mini-games all day. For me personally, I have two RuneScape accounts, one which is known as a pure account that has level 1 defense and very high strength, range and magic stats, which keeps its overall combat level low, allowing me to deal massive damage in PvP, but also take a lot of damage, and my main account which I'm working towards getting all max combat stats and finishing every quest in the game on. Another common account people make is called an Iron Man. This is something you can choose to do when you create a character. Making an account of this type will basically lock you out of any form of player trading, meaning that you'll need to craft or gather every piece of gear or every quest item.
I'm gonna go back and read this.
You'll need to craft or...
No Iron Man restrictions. Iron Man cannot trade, stake, receive player kill loot, scavenge dropped items, or play certain multiplayer games. Hardcore Iron Man only has 1 life. Okay, so if you die, you lose your character. Holy shit. Ultimate Iron Man cannot use banks or retain any items on death. Holy shit.
Gather every piece of gear or every quest item for yourself. You basically need to be completely self-sufficient and play RuneScape the purest way possible. As a brand new player, my recommendation would be to make a regular account and first just set yourself the goal of completing all of the free-to-play quests the game currently has. That way you should learn the basics and how things work. Then if you like the game enough, you could subscribe to it to unlock the rest of the content. If as a new player you're struggling to figure out some of the quests, don't feel bad about looking up some quest guides. To be honest, I don't think I've ever done a quest in this game before without following a guide, but I still enjoy doing them quite a lot. It's just that...
Holy shit, these quests are more complicated than, like, the entire war campaign. These are more complicated than the entire war campaign, 100%. Look at this, it's insane, dude. Look at this, wow, what the fuck? I mean, I do the war campaign, like, I have no idea why we went, like, we were doing the war campaign, I have no idea why we're over here. I have no clue. I'm just sitting around just, like, killing stuff randomly. I didn't even need to pay attention, I was reading chat the whole fucking time. This is ridiculous. Takes 5 hours for some quests? Holy shit, man. And how many of these are there? See, that's one of the good things. I'm going to say one thing. That's one of the good things about having games with low graphics, is that they can make so much fucking content because they just don't have to spend as much time doing it because it's easier to make. 200 of these. Oh my god.
Some of them are quite long and involve a lot of reading to figure out what to do.
Wow.
Oh, and big tip for new players. When playing RuneScape, download and play the game through a client called RuneLite.
Okay.
It's completely free and gives you a ton of customization and convenience options, such as using WASD to move the camera, a stretched full screen mode, XP per hour, improved map, and smoother animations. Playing with this client has made my time with this game so much more enjoyable. When it comes to business model, old school RuneScape is a subscription MMO with limited free-to-play. The free-to-play is limited in that you can't explore the entire world, you can't do all the quests, use all the items, and you can't train all of the skills. But similar to games such as World of Warcraft, RuneScape allows you to earn membership through in-game currency via buying something known as a bond, which for 3.6 million GP will give...
Are these just like WoW tokens? Like, let's just get this out of the way. Are these just WoW tokens? Okay.
Give you 14 days membership, which is a pretty good deal when you consider that at mid to late game you can make between 500 and 900k an hour at some places. There's quite a few players who pay for their membership exclusively with in-game currency in this game. If subscribing isn't something that interests you, then don't worry. As a free player, you'll be playing on worlds which only contain other free-to-play players. You can't even equip members' items in these worlds, which essentially gives free-to-play its own PvP gearing and money-making meta.
So, wait a second. So does that mean you can buy gold in RuneScape? Effectively, if you just... Because do you, like, buy the bonds and then sell them to other people? Okay, so you can actually just buy gold. Pay to win, you can buy gold. It's very expensive. What do Venezuelans have to do with this? Like, I'm, you know, this isn't my community, so I don't really understand how this works. I mean, I don't know. Google Venezuelan OSRs. I don't. Oh man, dude, like. Okay, so the reason I'm not gonna be able to do that is I can't spell Venezuelan. Like, I'm like 90% sure. Okay, yeah. Wait, what the fuck? Inside Venezuelans trading online accounts for money. With Venezuelans' economy in shambles, Venezuelans have been turning to online games like RuneScape to make a living. RuneScape players are hunting down Venezuelans. An investigation into the Venezuelan gold farming goes on in RuneScape. Oh my god, dude. Let me at least finish this, okay?
At this point, you're probably thinking, why should you play RuneScape over other MMOs? What does this game offer that others don't? For me, one of the biggest things RuneScape offers is that feeling that you've been on a real journey and adventure with the game's questing. In most modern MMOs, questing's just so shallow. It's kill X amount of this, collect that, go interact with this object. It's all so predictable and mindless. RuneScape's questing is completely different in that it feels like actual stories with multiple steps. For example, I recently did a quest on my Pure called Desert Treasure. Just to unlock this quest, I had to reach 53 thieving, 50 firemaking, and do something like 8 other pre-quests. When I eventually unlocked the ability to do the quest, just start the quest, it felt like a reward in itself because completing it would give me access to a new spellbook, new robes, and a new staff, which beforehand I wouldn't actually be able to equip even if I had the item. This quest alone took me around 2 hours to complete and had over...
Imagine the content being a reward. That's what WoW used to have. The content is the reward. Holy fuck, man. That's big. That Blizzard forgot that. Somewhere down the line, I think in like ICC, they forgot that. Or RAD, they forgot that. Yeah, I used to, I know this guy, Lazy Pion. I've known this guy for years. And I remember like he started playing Black Desert and like everything. So he used to only stream and like make WoW videos. Then he ended up stopping doing that and because he got bored with WoW and started doing like MMO reviews.
40 steps to it, taking me across vast distances of the map. And when the quest was finally finished, it felt much more rewarding than the standard kill and collect garbage you get in other MMOs. If I was to describe RuneScape questing in a few words, it would be non-linear quality over quantity that actually feels like an adventure. Another great aspect of RuneScape comes from how interconnected the various aspects of this game are. For example, Slayer is a skill in which you get certain assignments to kill a set amount of a specific type of monster. When you're doing this, you're also leveling up your combat skills such as attack, strength, defense, hit points, range, or magic.
This is kinda
When you
crazy.
complete a certain amount of Slayer tasks, you can then craft a
Holy
helmet that
shit.
gives you a significant damage boost. However, you need 55 crafting to make it, so you level to 55 crafting, and in doing so, not only can you make a new piece of gear, but you've also achieved the crafting
Wait, was it being
requirements for
interrogated?
multiple quests that will in turn unlock other pieces of gear or give you experience in other skills. I guess another big reason why a lot of people play RuneScape has a lot to do with the game's skill ceiling. Despite how it may look, it's actually very high in both PvP and PvE, and there's content in the game to really
What?
push yourself with.
What do you mean?
For PvE, you've got raids which require high coordination, prayer switching, and smart management of resources, and there's
Okay.
also a single-player challenge called the Inferno, which
Oh, I
rewards
saw a
players
guy
with the best
complete
cape
this.
in the game. 4 months after this content was released, just less than 500 players actually managed to beat it and get
Holy
the cape.
shit.
I don't think it's something that I'll be getting anytime soon.
That's like the
when it
lava
comes
thing.
to the
Even I know what
PvP,
that
there's a
is.
lot of subtle little tricks you can do to outplay your opponent. Tricks which I don't think I'll ever master. From the point of view of a new player, it may just look like the PvP is purely down to RNG, but
Yeah.
in reality there's so many difficult things you can do to get an advantage. I won't go into specifics, but to be good at RuneScape PvP, you need a lot of practice, fast precise clicks, and build muscle memory.
Yeah, we're watching Boots do
Personally,
it,
I'm
yeah.
still really bad at this part of the game. In comparison to other MMOs, I don't think the problems OSRS has are too big when it comes to actual game design. Sure, the game could feel quite grindy at times, which certainly isn't for everyone, but I think most RuneScape players enjoy the grind to a certain point as it makes your achievements feel more rewarding. The two biggest problems RuneScape has, and quite frankly will always have, is players real-world trading both in-game currency and accounts, and players using bots to level up their skills and make money. These
Yep.
are two issues that Jagex have been
Not
fighting
good.
against ever since I first played the game back
Not
in
good.
2006, and the only solution they've had to fix real-world trading was to limit player-to-player trading and kill the wilderness, which almost killed the game. As a free-to-play player, you'll definitely notice the botting issue. They're fucking everywhere on free-to-play worlds, but on members worlds it's not too bad. Players do
Wow.
get permabanned if they're found out to be taking part in any of these activities, but that doesn't seem to have discouraged people over the years. It's just something we deal with at this point. Other than
That
that,
sucks.
with old school RuneScape allowing players to vote on what updates make it into the game, a bit of a rift seems to have formed between players who enjoy PvE content and players who enjoy PvP content.
Wow, how familiar does that sound? Yeah, I knew this voting thing is going to come with some drawbacks.
With each side sometimes voting against updates that the other side wants, regardless of if that update would affect them.
So it's a war. Wait, no, it's not a war. It's American politics. Why do you vote against the other guys? Because fuck them, that's why. It doesn't matter if it affects me. Fuck them. That's the way it goes. I love it.
Overall, old school RuneScape is a game that I've had some great memories with ever since I
This is
first
more
played
realistic
back in
than WoW.
06. I have to admit, when Jagex initially released the old school servers back in 2013, I never expected the game to actually rise in popularity in the way that it has, and it's awesome to see the game receive such massive content updates over that time. If you've never played old school RuneScape before, I highly recommend you give the game a good solid try, especially if you used to enjoy games such as Ultima Online, and at least try and complete all of the non-members quests. With the community this game has, and the way the devs actually listen listen to what they have to say, I can honestly see this game being around for at least the next 5 to 10 years. At this point, I think the formula of old school RuneScape has proven to be timeless, and with a mobile release coming soon, as well as it being one of the few non-pay-to-win MMOs that receives regular community-approved updates, I think there's no better time to try the game than now. And for me personally, I'm going to keep working on my goal of completing every quest on my main account, and hopefully one day experiencing some raids. But that's it for this video, guys. As always, let me know your thoughts on old school RuneScape in the comments below, and if you're interested in trying to get into the game, then I highly recommend checking the RuneScape Beginner's Guide by a YouTuber called Theoatrix. He's also got a bunch of other guides that have personally helped me quite a bit in the past. Additionally, if you want to talk about RuneScape or other MMOs in general, then feel free to join my Discord server in the description below. Thanks for watching, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you again really soon.
I just like... I mean, these graphics are really, they're really not good. Like, Spaceway, thanks for the 15, man. Thank you very much. I don't like the 15, so... Yeah, I do want to see the Venezuela video. I don't care if I said I do. I want to see it. I like Link, and I'm actually curious about this, because I remember whenever they told that there was like a big news article and it said Venezuelan currency is now worth less than gold in World of Warcraft. And I thought that was funny, like honestly, because I don't live there. Now if I lived there, I don't think it'd be funny at all. But over here, it's great. You know what I mean? While classic graphics aren't really that great, well, I don't know. I feel like okay, so I don't really like the click to move, because like the game is click to move in a way. I don't like the combat system. I don't like how you have to click things out of the inventory, etc. Like the hotkeying systems. Like it's just, listen. I know a lot of people want me to play this, and if I do commit to the MMO thing and like playing the other MMOs, this is an MMO.
In part 1 of this 4-part video series, I showed how Fairmart Travels operated a secret scamming call centre to the rear of their normal premises. Fairmart Travels use pop-up scams to generate calls and revenue. They will require remote access to a victim's computer, but in my case, I was able to reverse this access and get visibility of their computers. And very unusually, I could see that this operation had CCTV. I could see how their scams worked. And in this video, you're going to see how they went about scamming thousands of people in the USA, UK and Australia. Everyone in this room is a scammer. There are 28 seats, and the area in the corner is for the operations managers. These operations managers facilitate the scams, and they will monitor every PC in this room. And here is that view. The supervisors will see every PC which is switched on in the office. Some of the scammers will waste their time on the likes of websites like 9gag, while others will be looking at the inbound calls, and yet more registering customer information on a database that they call TechnoSpine. And this screen shows them preparing documentation for their victims. They will also keep an eye on the inbound calls. And here's their view of those calls. The ones coloured green are agents engaged in calls, red away from their desks, and yellow sitting waiting on calls. They will also keep in touch with their senior management team via Skype. Here's the supervisor speaking with Amit Chowan. He's the managing director of Fairmart Travels and the sister company Adrit Technologies, but there'll be much more about him in the next video. But the most important job of the supervisors was to take the payment information and put them into spreadsheets. They had different payment gateways and processes depending on whether the payment was a cheque or by card. and they would use various company names. Here's a WhatsApp message sent to the supervisor telling them that they would change their name from Shankar Consulting to RAM PC Support. This happened literally overnight, and I suspect the reason is that Shankar Consulting became known as a scam operation. A Google search of Shankar Consulting shows that the business looks to be associated with scams. So looking at the checks written by their victims, you can see the name changing regularly. There was Charge 1, Shankar Consulting and RAM PC Support, all in the space of just 1 year. But only a small proportion of their payments came from checks. The vast majority were through a payment gateway, and here you can see one of the supervisors summarising last night's takings. He's sending a WhatsApp message to Sahil Garg, who's the Chief Financial Officer. In a single day, they make over $14,000 using their Chinese gateway PES, Arabesque, eChecks, PayPal, GPC and wire transfer. And those figures were fairly typical. Here's the month of March last year, and it shows that they made nearly $400,000 in that month. Fairmart Travels are making $3 million a year in scams. But most of that $3 million doesn't go to the people working on the floor. Here on the right is Amit Sindhu. He is the operations manager for Adra Technologies, and he's writing up the bonuses that each agent's entitled to. They will receive an incentive, a bonus payment for just how much money they make, and this will be a fixed value of rupees. This will be added to their fixed salary, and at the end of the week and month they will receive their bonus. But they will only typically make about $300 or $400 for every $10,000 to $20,000 in sales. And of course, you wouldn't expect these sort of payments to appear on any books. So here in the corner is the operations manager counting out some of the cash that he's going to give to some of the scammers on the floor. It's vitally important that none of this sort of activity shows up on the company accounts, so they will always use cash. And indeed, there seems to be generally trust issues anyway with the scammers and the operations management. At the start of every 12-hour shift, every agent must leave their mobile device in a side office. This prevents anyone doing any recording. This is fairly typical for scam operations. They wouldn't want to be blackmailed by anyone who had footage of some of these scams in action. Fortunately for us, Fairmart have decided to use CCTV so we can just see those scams in action anyway. Only at the end of the shift are they allowed to reclaim their mobile devices. But it can be quite boring whenever you're a scammer and you have to run a very set script. Here on the bottom left is a scammer who calls himself Nelson. Even when he's talking to one of his victims, he gets so bored he actually sits and plays Pac-Man. Listen to this for a bit of multitasking.
And can I make sure, is it like a laptop or a regular desktop computer?
It's a laptop, Microsoft.
Laptop, right, Microsoft. And which window are you running on it? Is it like Windows 10 or like the previous version?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Windows 10.
10, right. So anyway, you don't have to worry, right? See, sometimes what happens whenever we browse anything over the internet, okay? By any chance, if you might have clicked on any kind of bad link or some kind of unknown or unsecure site,
he will continue his Pac-Man game until the time that his victim runs the remote access software. Only at this point will he give up gaming and try and persuade the victim that she's got a virus. You can see the picture of the fake virus message very clearly on the victim's screen.
1 minute here. So how old is this computer, do you know?
I buy for her from 7.
Alright. So as far as I can see, I'm not pretty sure on which website was exactly. I need to go ahead and check that out for you, okay? Please be with me.
Oh, okay.
But all of these scammers needed GoToAssist. That's the software that they use to remotely access their victims' PCs, and I was able to observe exactly how they get their hands on the software. The agents would ask the supervisor for a username and password for GoToAssist. They would create these on a daily basis. They would simply create brand new disposable email addresses and use those to sign up for a trial version of GoToAssist. This makes it far too easy for scammers just like Fairmart to abuse the GoToAssist software. If there were a better process for restricting the use of this trial version, I'm certain sure the software wouldn't be abused as much as it is. If anyone from GoToAssist watches these videos, please take note of how the software is regularly abused by scammers. Please do something about this. And Fairmart were involved in more than one type of scam. You've seen the pop-up scams already, but here, courtesy of this guy's WhatsApp, you can see that they were doing outbound calls as well. They seemed to target the people who had already fallen for scams.
Dear user, your IP address has been blocked due to suspicious activities on your network. Your personal information may get stolen, so please do not log into your email and banking. To report this issue, please contact Windows support at 1-855-482-2885 or press 1 to speak to our agent.
And they would also pretend to be Amazon and send a lot of fake emails out. Although I don't have the original email, this is an actual voice recording of Luke, who we saw earlier, trying to persuade a victim that he really is Amazon.
Thank you for calling Amazon. This is Luke. Can we help you?
Yeah, I was just getting a email said I ordered a TV, but I did not.
Alright, sir. Just give a moment. Let me check. And when did you receive this email?
Today at 3:48.
May I have the email address?
Let's see, my email address is j@yahoo.com.
Very sneakily, what Lalit does here is enter the password reset routine for Amazon. He types the victim's email address, then asks him for the one-time PIN.
I'm going to send you a one-time verification code, okay? On your email, just to verify that I'm talking to the right customer, okay?
Okay.
So please check your email and give me the code, sir.
Alright.
If anyone ever asks you to read out a one-time PIN, it's almost certainly going to be a scam. Always be on the lookout for this. If you're a patron of mine, you can see the whole audio of this scam happening from beginning to end. But this type of scam is all about getting a gift card from the victim. They will describe it as a security card, but scammers prefer gift card numbers these days because the money can cleanly be laundered and it's very difficult, if not impossible, to get that money back. And because these are 12-hour shifts, depending on how many pop-ups or which type of emails they've sent out, it can get very busy and people will regularly walk around offering tea and coffee. But of course, with the CCTV there, I can't resist the opportunity to phone up Fairmart Travels and challenge some of the scammers on the floor. I'm going to be speaking to this person. He gives his name as Travis Dean, but his real name is Susan.
Thank you for calling support this side, Travis. How can I help you?
Hi, yeah, I've got like a computer lock warning message in front of me and there's like a beeping sound that says to ring this number.
Like what exactly you were doing on the computer, sir, when this happened?
So I was trying to watch a movie and it's just stopped and it's kind of beeping away at me here.
No problem, sir. I will check that for you. Can you please confirm your first and last name?
Yeah, it's Dilbert Goggenspine.
Okay, and the computer that you have, is it a laptop or it's a desktop?
Yes, he's playing Pac-Man as he's talking to me.
Okay. So just do one thing, sir. I will just check what exactly wrong is going on. Look onto your keyboard.
But instead of following his instructions, I decide to ask him who exactly they are. I could find a website here. What website am I looking for?
If you talk about my company's website, it's iTech, ITech-security. That's our website.
Right, so I can find it on my phone here.
Yeah, just please find it, sir. Just take your time and find it.
Right, so I've got like a website here, iTech Security Technical Support, and there's a USA, UK, Australia number.
No, it's yes, sir.
And on the very bottom, sir, you will find my headquarters as well in UK.
Right, so you're in the UK, yeah?
Plymouth Atlas.
You're in the UK?
No, right now we are located in California.
Right, so what time is it in California? Hello?
What kind of question is that, sir?
I don't believe you're in California. I think you have to look it up.
Sir, I'm not here to answer these kinds of questions, sir. That what is the time in California?
Well, you don't know it because you're not there, are you?
Sir, how can you tell that we are not in California, sir?
Because
Our
you'd be able to
headquarters
answer
are based
it.
in San Jose, California.
You'd be able to answer it straight away. Instead, you're like...
It's 6 o'clock in California, sir.
So you had to look it up. And even
So
then
why
it's-
will I look it up, sir? We are not allowed to. We are not. I'm just wearing my watch.
I was severely tempted to stop playing Pac-Man, but I pushed him some more on his location. If you're in San Jose, what's the central road in San Jose called?
I'm not here to answer these questions, sir.
Okay, that tells me everything I need to know. If you really lived there, you would name one restaurant anywhere at all in San Jose.
Let me tell you one thing, sir. Let me tell you
Just
one
name
thing.
me one
I'm
street.
an Indian.
One
okay,
street.
and my headquarters.
Are you?
I beg your pardon?
Are you in San Jose or not?
Definitely, sir.
Okay. Can you name me one restaurant in San Jose? Without looking at Google.
Why should I tell you these questions, sir?
Because you'd be able
Why
to
should I
answer it
tell you
straight
these
away
questions?
without Googling it.
No, I'm not Googling it, sir. And I'm not even telling you.
Okay, so name me a restaurant in San Jose.
I don't want to tell you that. I don't want to tell you.
I know you don't, because you can't
I'm
find
not
one on
here to
Google.
answer these questions. I have many. I can find on Google as well.
I know, and that's
But
probably
I don't
what you're
want to
doing.
do that. Because I'm not here to answer these questions. I'm not here to answer these questions.
Well, I bet you're looking at Google right now.
I'm not doing that, sir.
Okay, so name me, I don't know, what the railway station is called in San Jose.
I don't know that as well. I said, sir, I don't live in San Jose. I'm
do
an
you live?
Indian. My headquarters are based in San Jose, so I do my job over here.
So where do you live?
I'm an Indian. I said I live in India, but in San Jose we are having our headquarters, so I travel across the world.
So sorry, you are in India then?
No, I'm not in India. Right now I'm in San Jose.
Right, so why don't you know anything about San Jose?
Because I love my job, I respect my job. I don't come here to make fun, and I don't come here to travel. I come here to do my job.
So you must live outside the office somewhere.
Yeah, it's a Trimble Road.
Trimble
in San
Road.
Jose.
Trimble Road is where your headquarters are. I'm asking even to name the street that you live in.
Sir, if I am living in Trimble Road, definitely my headquarters is there as well, sir.
So you
181 West Trimble Road.
So you live beside where you work? The same street?
Sir, are you insane? What question you are asking me, sir? If you are having an office over there, definitely you will be there in the office. Why will you live at your home?
So I'm just asking because I've just looked at where Trimble Road is in San Jose.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen it in Street View? Because I'm looking at it. And it's all offices. There's no residential places there. Have a look yourself.
Yeah.
You plainly don't
That
live
does
there.
not mean that that does not mean that I do not live over here. We are having a team of almost like 150 to 200 people. We all live in office only, sir.
You live in the office. You sleep in the office, do you?
Yeah.
Really? You have beds in the office?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So you actually sleep there as well, and you don't go out, and you've never heard of any streets in San Jose?
No, let me tell you one thing. Offices in your street might be small, sir, but in our street, the offices are very big.
I know, I'm looking at it in Street View and they're all business offices. I just can't believe that you actually sleep in your office as well. And presumably when you landed
Why
in
did you
San
do
Jose-
one thing, sir? No. Why don't you do one thing, sir? Okay?
Yeah.
Book your ticket to California and come tomorrow to California.
I've been there.
Book your ticket and come tomorrow to California. Why are you looking on the Google, sir?
I'm not looking on Google. I've been to San Jose already. I have friends in San Jose. Well, I have to book my ticket to Delhi and visit you there.
Why will you book the ticket to Delhi?
Because that's where you are, I'm sure.
No, you're wrong. I'm not in Delhi.
Well, why has everybody around you that I can hear got an Indian accent?
There is no... Who said that everyone over here has an Indian accent?
I can hear all the voices around you. There must be people next to you and they're all speaking with an Indian accent. Why? Why would that be?
What they're saying, sir? No, what they're saying, can you hear them?
Oh yes,
Can
I
you
can.
tell them what you hear them?
Yeah, and they keep saying what you said to
What
me.
they're saying?
Things like press the Windows key with the letter
No,
R,
they are not
R for
saying that,
Romeo.
sir. Yeah.
Well, I just heard that a minute ago.
No, they're not saying it.
Well, they all have
Near me,
Indian
there is no one
accents.
sitting. Only one person.
And they're all
No,
following...
near me, no one is sitting. Only one person is sitting.
Yeah, but they're all following the old tech support script, scam script. They're all saying press Windows R. Yeah. I think you know this, don't you? Are you still there? I mean, it can't be a difficult thing to work this out, you know. I just can't understand why you're not honest.
I don't want to answer these questions, sir. You have wasted much of my time. Thank you so much.
I haven't really, Travis. I haven't really. I just want to know why you're scamming people. Oh, you cut me off. Oh. Yeah. And in part 3 of this video series, we follow the money and find out who all the key players are. We can trace all of the scam payments back to this man's PayPal account. We'll find out who he is and how he sets up his business. And things have moved on since I initially created this video. Now the police have become involved and they've arrested the person at the top here. The company
Poliserna på Norrmalm arbetar inom ett av Sveriges mest brottsutsatta områden. Här rör sig barnfamiljer och hederligt arbetande medborgare sida vid sida med personer verksamma inom den grövsta kriminaliteten i hela landet. I kvällens program söker Andreas och Thomas efter narkotika och vapen på Norrmalm. Johan berättar om ögonblicket i jobbet som kunde förändrat hela hans liv.
Då blir enda lösningen att skjuta dödande skottet.
Och Peter och Jonas tvingas ta jakten på en plötsligt flyende man. Larm kommer in om en trafikolycka på Vallalavägen. När Gustav som första polis anländer till platsen är det oklart vad som inträffat.
Men vi kom ju in här som första polispatrull och då är det ju väldigt mycket folk runt omkring som har sett då den här trafikolyckan. Flera personer som ligger på marken här, någon är skadad som sjukvården håller på att jobba med. Och sen har vi då 2 stycken bilar som är inblandade i den här krocken. Då vill ni köra eller?
Jag skulle inte ta den risken att köra
Okej. Ja. Nu handlar det om egentligen att försöka få lite ordning och reda här, se till att trafiken kan börja flöda på så fort som möjligt. Jag tänker så här, det är helt omöjligt att vi kan flytta din bil bara liksom fram till... Vill du att jag blir då? Trafiken sen så småningom börjar flöda.
Krocken har inträffat i en korsning på Östermalm. Audin har kört längs Vallalavägen
och kolliderat med en taxi som kommit från en tvärgata.
Så kan vi göra så. Vi kan gå till oss polisbil nu och få lite lugn och ro. Det finns vissa uppgifter om att Audin har kört fort och sådär. Det får vi försöka utreda. Vi pratar med polisen och sådär. Jag har beställt en bärgare till din bil. Så att alldeles strax kommer jag prata med dig lite grann. Så att det är det som händer nu om du undrar. Så sitt lugnt och bara försök att lugna ner dig så blir det bra.
Medan ambulanspersonal vårdar den barnfamilj som befann sig i den påkörda taxin är polisens arbete att utreda vem som är vållande till olyckan. Man misstänker att taxichauffören kan ha brutit mot väjningsplikten.
Enligt någon som jag pratar med, taxin ska svänga in enligt henne.
Ja.
Och han har kommit till typ 70 km/h liksom. Så de har ju sett att det här kommer aldrig gå. Han har ingen kontroll över bilen och hinner inte bromsa.
Precis, oavsett så har ju taxin väjningsplikt.
Ja.
Men har han kört liksom så pass fort kanske han har en vårdslöshet. Men då måste vi liksom bygga upp det med det. Så blir det helt enkelt upp till oss att utreda om vi har en vårdslöshet trafik eller inte. Taxichauffören har ju antagligen brustit sin väjningsplikt här också. Har vi någonting som talar för det ena eller andra här? Det är det vi försöker utreda nu.
Man är en man som stod längs gatan där.
Just det.
Han ser att det är 2 bilar som har någon form av kapplöpning eller vad man ska säga. De racear liksom. Så det är Audin och det är en grön bil.
Ja.
Den här taxin åker ut utan att stanna. Han har väjningsplikt som jag förstår det. Åker in i den här Audin. Så de krockar och den här gröna bilen viker av.
Jag hörde ju han som låg bakom då. Då drog ju 2 bilar förbi. Han uppskattade 100 km/h och upplevde det som att de raceade.
Det är väldigt många här som säger att det har gått väldigt fort. Det har varit eventuellt någon form av racing här på Vallavägen och taxibilen har kört ut här och där man har väjningsplikt och så har det blivit en kollision där. Jag menar, han har gjort fel taxichauffören, men jag tänker att det här ändå uppnår liksom till trafik med tanke på hur alla säten har kört och så vidare. Ja, men exakt.
Vittnet är också att det inte har gått fort. Taxin har kört ut som en vanlig korsning, alltså att man är uppmärksam. Men att han inte haft en chans för de har kommit så jävla fort. Så att
Den ena föraren är misstänkt för vårdslöshet i trafik och vållande till kroppsskada. Så det blir en polisanmälan med förhör och sen så blir det bilder från platsen här.
Vårdslöshet i trafik straffas med dagsböter. Men vållande till kroppsskada kan ge fängelse upp till 6 månader.
Det kunde gått bra mycket sämre. Vi har haft flera barn som har suttit i den ena bilen här, vilket i sig är väldigt oroväckande. Vi får vara glada för att ingen har blivit allvarligt skadad här idag.
På Vasagatan i centrala Stockholm har områdespolisen Peter och hans kollega Jonas precis påbörjat en förebyggande insats i trafiken.
Hej! Om du cyklar in här lite bara. Hej! Vet du varför jag stoppar dig?
För att jag kör mot rött?
Ja, precis.
Varje år skadas cirka 2000 cyklister allvarligt i trafiken. Och mellan 20 och 30 cyklister omkommer.
Vi är ju här för cyklisterna så inte de ska skadas i trafiken. Många kör mot rött. Senast förra veckan hade vi en otäck grej när de körde mot rött. Det är som en cykeltävling i stort sett på gatan.
Trafiken ska ut en ordningsbot. Är du beredd att ta emot den? Om det kostar 1500 kronor.
Ja. Men den här gången så är jag på väg till ett möte och assessar så jag förstår. Men det är toppen bra att ni också.
Kopplar du in där?
Kör du mot rött vid? Det vet du själv. Men du erkänner att du kör mot rött, eller? Ja, du gick mot rött. Jag är områdespolis. Mestadels så går jag på Plattan och runt i Klara-området då, som vi säger. Fotpatrull, Segway. Du kommer ju nära och sen så bjuder vi alla till att nu får vi göra det en gång till nu. Nu börjar vi tröttna fullständigt. Du kan sitta och laga mat under svampen, det går inte. Jag är likadant också i form. Det är en skillnad på mig. När jag var nyare, så när man var ny, då laddade jag med inför varje pass. Nej, sluta larva. Sluta på det om det är något problem. Men nu är det mer att man tar det här maskinkaffet. Det är som en trigger att nu är man på jobbet. Nu får man skärpa till sig lite.
Har du körkort? För bil? Kör du sakta mot rött där också i gångfart eller?
Alltså jag stannar ju upp och så kommer jag och sen får jag överföra.
När du kör bil alltså?
Nej,
Men när du sitter helt oskyddad, då kan du tänka dig att rulla sakta mot rött?
ibland spår man ju för det viset.
Jaha, okej.
En bit bort står deras poliskollega och bevakar rödljuset.
Ja, han säger att han tippar sakta med gångfart över rödljuset där. Vad säger du? Enligt Stefan så har han cyklat mot rött i cykelbanan. Okej. Vi har en kille som har sett dig cykla mot rött, inte bara trippat över.
Ja, men du sa att jag känner ju...
Du förnekar.
Nej,
Du förnekar. Men du, jag kommer att skriva på dig i alla fall.
Vad?
Det blir en anmälan eftersom du inte erkänner.
Okej, men vad säger du vad jag gjorde?
Vad sa du?
Jag säger ju vad jag gjorde.
Ja, just det. Men vi tycker inte att... Vi håller inte med om din beskrivning, utan vi anser att du har cyklat.
Nej, det är inte. Idag så har jag så uppe med ut och cykla.
Han har sett dig cykla över...
Nej, jag gissar inte.
Så...
Men,
finns det ett antingen skriva här eller får man skriva en anmälan?
Alltså,
får ni synas i tingsrätten sen då?
jag brukar inte köra mot rött om det är ringarna så...
Nej, men nu borde du det tycker vi. Så vi syns i tingsrätten.
Ja. Tack. Det var bra.
Många står ju för vad de gör och det är ju respekt liksom. Och kanske tänker till så att de inte krockar med någon nästa gång då. Det är därför vi står här, inte för att jävlas med folk. Så är det. Det vi ska koncentrera oss på som områdespoliser, det är ju trygghet, prata med folk, vistas där det är lite oroligt kanske.
Är det bättre om du har såna här fler roller?
Precis, hon är min chef.
Det är lika bra. Alla människor är lika bra, eller hur?
Hon är lite bättre.
Men nu är det så här på riktigt.
Om en kvart.
Då kommer jag ringa till alla era föräldrar. Jag kommer inte säga att ni har gjort något brott. Jag kommer bara beskriva platsen. Vad för typ av brottslighet som sker här. Och berätta vad det finns för risker när man är så ung som ni är.
Vi bryr oss om er. Vi ska ju inte bara lagföra och gripa. Vi bryr oss på riktigt.
Jag förstår. Ja, jag ser
Vi vill inte att ni ska vistas här. Ni är för unga för det.
Det är alltså.
Så försvinner du inte så kommer jag gripa dig. Nej, jag skojar bara. Tänk på det. Vi vill inte att du ska vara här. Bra.
Yes.
Personligen så tycker jag att det är givande att bara vistas ute bland folk. Jag inbillar mig i alla fall att vi skapar en viss trygghet. Och det får vi kvitto på ibland också. Folk kommer ju faktiskt fram. Så det känns bra.
Det är inte bara områdespolisen som jobbar brottsförebyggande. Det ingår även i ingripande polisens arbete. Andreas och Thomas har i uppgift att fotpatrullera i observatorielunden.
Problematiken här egentligen, det är samma problematik som finns på Plattan och det är ett resultat av att polisen är rätt effektiv på Plattan och där finns vi nästan dygnet runt. Och då flyttar man på sig och nu ska vi störa dem här också.
Det dröjer inte länge förrän de hittar 2 misstänkta personer.
God eftermiddag. Hej. Hur är läget?
Ja, det är lugnt.
Vad gör ni? Vila eller bara chilla eller?
Ja, vi sitter och... Ja, så är det bra.
Har någon med legitimation på er?
Tyvärr ser jag ingen.
Inte du. Vad heter du? Thomas heter jag. Har du väldigt ställa upp? Ska jag känna in dina fickor och sådär? Jag kommer inte hitta någon narkotika nu då?
Nej, kommer inte jag.
Har du några farliga eller vassa föremål på dig?
I den här fickan har jag 2 så här små bältknivar.
Har du blivit dömd för brott mot knivlagen någon gång?
Jag har haft tillstånd att bära kniv på mig och har haft i många herrans år. Vi kollar upp oss och vi ser att det är faktiskt sant jag säger.
Ja, det är otroligt intressant för jag har aldrig hört någon som har haft tillstånd att ha det.
Nej, men jag har jagat.
Du har ju narkotika på dig, vet du det? I min här jag håller ju 2 tabletter just nu.
Ja, de hade jag väl glömt bort. Men det är så att jag har tandvärk. Det är därför jag har dem där. Så jag har glömt mina tänder.
Ja, jag ser att du har dåliga tänder.
Det är verksamheten. Ja,
betyder det att du ljög för mig när jag frågade?
Ja, det ber jag om ursäkt för. Det var inte min mening.
Ursäkta mig. Ta det.
Då Andreas söker igenom personens tillhörigheter hittar han något som bekräftar deras misstankar.
Tabletter som vi ska försöka ta reda på vad det är för tabletter då. Men vad säger du att du har fått tag i dem för? Vad tänker du att det är för någonting där? Jag kommer inte vara nöjd förrän jag har tagit reda på vad det är. Det vi använder oss mycket av det är att kolla i fassen, alltså kopplat till apotek. Där söker vi på tabletter som är oidentifierade. Någonting med kalcium och ja, men jag avråder från att ta om du inte vet vad det är. Men det förstår du. Vi konstaterar då att merparten av de tabletterna inte är narkotikaklassade. Så vi har bedömningen att narkotikabrott klarar sig undan den här gången i alla fall.
När det visar sig att tabletterna inte var narkotikaklassade koncentrerar sig Thomas istället på knivarna han hittat på mannen.
De här knivarna, det här är 2 väldigt små fällknivar. Men det är ju fortfarande så att ett vapen ska göra väldigt skada på en människa. Så det skruvmejslar och sådana grejer, då kommer jag ta det också.
Då kommer du ta halva min ryggsäck med andra.
När Thomas söker igenom mannens väska hittar han ett elchockvapen och mängder av verktyg.
Jag jobbar med bilar och lagar bilar. Då kan du ta i princip allt jag vill ha då. Då kommer du driva mig för att köra brott idag.
3 knivar hittar jag. Ett elchockvapen.
Jag visste inte ens att det var.
Nej, men det är det.
Okej.
Det jag kommer att göra, jag kommer ta knivarna i beslag. Du kommer bli misstänkt för brott mot knivlagen. Du tar innehaft på allmän plats, de här 3 knivarna. Sen kommer du bli misstänkt för brott mot vapenlagen. Genom att du har innehaft ett sånt här elchockvapen. Det är som det är. Du kommer bli avvisad från observatorielunden.
Ja, vi ska packa upp och gå då så att det är coolt liksom.
Mycket glad.
Ja, det. Ja.
Då får du ta hand om det.
Du också.
Ja.
Ta det lugnt. Bra.
Att inneha elchockvapen bedöms vanligtvis som ringa vapenbrott. Både brott mot knivlagen och ringa vapenbrott kan ge böter eller fängelse i upp till 6 månader.
Det kan väl tyckas att det är galet att folk i en park har både knivar och tasers och ja, kan nog finnas pistoler också. Kanske tur man inte vet allt som finns i parken. Men det är vårt jobb att se till att det försvinner från gatorna. Nu har vi tagit bort en del av dem.
Andreas och Thomas är på väg att lämna observatorielunden när de får ett akut larm.
En man som går bärsärk i ett trapphus med en hammare.
Det vi ser, det är en pistol. Han kanske ska använda den här pistolen mot oss, alltså skjuta oss.
Så säger han att det finns bland annat en k-pist i hans lägenhet.
Tjena kompis. Har du något på dig eller?
Andreas och Thomas får ett larm om en man som går bärsärkagång med en hammare i ett trapphus.
När vi kommer till plats så står ju personer här utanför och pekar in mot trapphuset. Så vi går in i trapphuset, söker metodiskt, försiktigt. Det är skador på de flesta dörrar i trapphuset. Så vi är beredda på det värsta, att bli attackerade med en hammare eller något annat dylikt. Men mannen i fråga då ligger på ett våningsplan här och ger upp snabbt.
Hammaren då? Var det den? Vad bra. Har du kissat på dig? Ja. Är det din jacka? Har du gått runt med den här i trapphuset?
Ja.
Har du haft den på dig eller?
Ja.
Varför det?
Jag vill inte svara på det.
Okej. Var det för att skydda dig eller?
Ja.
Mot?
Mot Sovjetunionen.
Vi gör väl bedömningen att han inte är helt psykiskt stabil.
Har du en diagnos?
Ja.
Vad då för någonting?
Jag ser saker som inte finns.
Du ser saker som inte finns?
I den här kontakten vi först får från början så säger han att det finns bland annat en k-pist i hans lägenhet. Ja, vi kör misstanke om vapenbrott och vi påbörjar en husrannsakan.
Men är du med? Fattar du att du är misstänkt för brott?
Ja.
Du är full också?
Ja. Jag tar inte din här.
Nej, det gör du inte.
För då kan jag ta din pistol.
I den här lägenheten, det är ju mer eller mindre misär. Jag vet inte när det kan vara städas sist, så han har ju någon form av psykisk ohälsa, skulle jag säga. Och den är säkert känd också. Men han lever fortfarande ensam och bor här i alla fall. Men vi har inte påträffat något vapen, som tur är. Kan vi hjälpa dig till sjukhuset eller?
Ja, tack.
Får du prata med någon på psykakuten?
Ja, tack.
Får du vara? Ställ dig upp. Ställ upp för dem.
Har du inte benen eller vad är det?
Ja.
Ska vi ta hissen istället?
Nej, det kan vi inte göra.
Bra.
Då kan jag göra det.
Ja, kom igen.
Får vi sätta upp det?
Jag kan ta er och känna hålla på så.
Jag tycker inte att det är roligt att du skämtar om sånt. Eller...
Jag tycker inte heller det. Men sluta.
Säg så bara. Sluta säga så.
Förlåt.
Ja, det är gott. Min ursäkt är godtagen.
Skadegörelse, olaga hot. Var det misshandel också? Nej. Ingen som har fått tafsen. Nu är han på väg till psykakuten. Via beroendeakuten, då var han berusad, så han får nyktra till först innan en doktor kan snacka med honom.
Men det är viktigt att man håller sig i någorlunda form när man gör det vi gör.
Ofta tränar vi innan ett arbetspass. Och det blir på något vis att man liksom taggar igång för en arbetsdag, om man säger så. Jag ger upp. Han går. Snyggt, bra jobbat. Bra. Det är ett fysiskt arbete vi har. Sen så kanske inte träningspassen liksom avgör den här brottningsmatchen, men generellt sett så är det ju fysiskt.
Sen vore det ju faktiskt fruktansvärt om man skulle bli frånsprungen av någon också.
Ja.
Om det någon gång händer, Johan, då måste du påminna mig om att jag måste träna mer.
Ja.
Lova?
Ja, jag lovar det. Bra, Helge. Kom igen nu.
Härligt. Får se om du litar på mig här.
Ja.
Inte över 90 var väger du, eller?
Nej då.
Nej. Fixa det. Ja, men det här är faktiskt en bra övning på riktigt, därför att det kan ju mycket väl bli så att en kollega blir utskjuten eller skadar sig, och då är det faktiskt ganska bra att känna på hur mycket man faktiskt väger. Ja, bra. Man känner ju ett ansvar i att man vill vara vältränad just av såna här skäl. Om nu Johan, du skulle bli skjuten eller någonting, så vill jag verkligen känna att jag kommer kunna bära bort det eller hantera det och sådär.
Sätts allting på sin spets och man måste hjälpa en kollega, då vill man ju känna att man fixar det och att man inte står där handfallen eller liksom tvingas lämna en kollega. Det hade varit helt fruktansvärt.
Ja, bra. Lätt. Känns bra, va?
Ja,
eller hur? Ja.
Absolut. Att sätta på sig uniformen, det är ju att på något vis gå in i en annan roll. Jag trivs ju otroligt bra med mitt jobb, att vara polis. Det är hur kul som helst. På det här bältet så har jag all min utrustning. Just nu så är det bara lite av utrustning som sitter fast där, för en hel del av utrustningen måste låsas in. Batongen ser ut så här. Den fäller ut och så blir den längre. Jag har hämtat OC-sprayen eller pepparspray. Och sen har jag hämtat pistolen. Känslan att ha en pistol på sig när man jobbar, det är ju en väldigt märklig känsla. Jag har vant mig vid den nu. Jag laddar den varenda dag. Just att ladda pistolen, stoppa i ett magasin och dra fram en kula i loppet, det blir en form av trigger för mig. Där jag känner att nu är det allvar. Man måste vara beredd att skjuta ihjäl en annan människa. Det ingår. Är man inte det, då kommer man ju utsätta sig själv för stor fara, sina kollegor för stor fara och människor runt omkring. Min värsta stund som polis,
Det var en händelse där allmänheten ringde in för att de såg en man bära på en pistol. Vi åkte dit och jag och min kollega klev ut. Vi drog våra tjänstevapen och började röra oss mot den här personen. Vi skrek åt honom att han skulle stå still och att han skulle visa händerna. När vi kommer relativt nära honom så gör han en ganska snabb rörelse där han drar fram det här vapnet. I samband med att han tar fram det så blir det också en svepande rörelse. Det vi ser, det är en pistol. I det läget vi befinner oss så kan vi bara utgå från att han kanske ska använda den här pistolen mot oss, alltså skjuta oss. Befinner man sig i det läget där man är på det avståndet och en person har en pistol, då blir enda lösningen att skjuta dödande skott helt enkelt. Precis innan vi skjuter släpper han det här vapnet och vi hinner ju reagera på det så att vi hinner avbryta. Sen lägger vi ner honom på marken och sätter handfängsel på honom. Då kom det fram personer till oss som hade någon form av liksom reflexvästar på sig.
Skådespelaren Adam Pålsson råkade ut för en minst sagt oväntad och ovanlig upplevelse under inspelningen av SVT-serien.
Det är ju ett jättestort omfall i huvudet när det börjar gå upp för en att det här är en filminspelning. Jag hade i alla fall jättemycket adrenalin i kroppen och man har agerat mot ett hot som skulle kunna på sekunder ha dödat mig. Till att inse att det var ju helt ofarligt. Men det är fortfarande en händelse som jag har nära till hands i minnet.
Ett vittne har ringt in om en brand i en butik på Sveavägen. Johan och hans kollega har tagit sig till platsen.
Första gången jag åkte på det så trodde jag också, precis som inringarna, att det var brand. Men jag kände mig ganska säker i det här fallet att det inte var så. På Pressbyrån så har inbrottslarmet gått. Och de har så kallade röklarm. Alltså ett larm som fyller hela lokalen med rök. Det här röklarmet är ju väldigt effektivt. På några sekunder så blir det helt omöjligt att se någonting.
Då inbrottslarmet gått befarar Johan och hans kollega att en eventuell gärningsman kan ha fastnat i lokalen och sedan inte lyckats ta sig ut på grund av den dåliga sikten.
Men så här, jag menar det så här, om det ligger någon jävel här inne.
Ja, men det känns bra att komma in. För att vara helt säkra på att det liksom inte är någon där inne. Så inväntar vi väktare så vi kan ta oss in i lokalen och dubbelkolla för att vara helt säkra.
Det är kvar där det ligger. Stanna där.
Jag gissar att ni har varit runt där.
Ja.
Vi har inte varit uppe på taket. Sen att han skulle springa, det kanske jag inte hade räknat med.
Det har börjat bli kväll i Stockholm och områdespoliserna Peter och Jonas har precis klivit på nattskiftet. De börjar passet med att visa upp sig och ta en vända på Sergels torg i hopp om att kunna stävja brottsligheten.
Vi är alltid lite extra nyfikna när vi ser er. Är det bra?
Nej, vakterna sa till mig att vi måste gå hem.
Kom så ska vi snacka lite. Idag är det 17.03, FO Klara kallar vi det då. Det är området runt Sveriges torg, centralstationen Hötorget då. Vi försöker ju förebygga våldsbrotten. Annars hör ju det kanske till vanligheterna i och med att det är lördagkväll, mycket alkohol.
Har du någon idé någonting på det idag?
Idé?
Ja. Vad händer ikväll då?
Ingenting, jag ska gå hem.
Ska du gå hem redan?
Ja.
Det är ju inte likt dig. 8:30.
Jag är trött, Volvo.
Är du trött?
Ja.
Har du räknat?
Nej, bara sidan.
Igår då?
Okej?
Igår då?
Kanske. Ja.
Rökte kanske lite igår eller?
Ja, enjoyed.
Enjoy. Vad fick du tag i den då?
En shuno.
En shuno? Här?
Ja.
Eftersom du har haft kniv på dig förut
Så kommer vi känna igenom så att inte du har någonting på dig.
Det är lugnt.
Är det lugnt?
Det är lugnt, helt lugnt.
Du har ingenting här. Då får du pengar ifrån alldeles.
Ja.
Vad sa du?
SOS.
Du har ganska mycket pengar på dig.
Jag har tagit ut 4 000.
Varför då?
Jag är lönt cash.
Det finns något som heter utökat förverkande. Om man har pengar som man inte kan redogöra för hur han har fått pengarna, så kan man ta pengarna från honom. Så måste han bevisa hur han har fått dem på ett ärligt sätt. För vi misstänker då att han har fått dem här genom brott på något sätt. Då. Men det var inte aktuellt i det här fallet. Utan då behövs det lite mer pengar. Vi pratar om kanske 10 000 kronor eller något. Man har dyrare klocka eller sånt där.
Jaha. Det är saknas. Stoppa ner pengarna.
Saknas det pengar?
Du, det är ju jätteskillnad för dig nu och första gången vi träffades.
Ja. Vad är skillnaden?
Första gången var det jättejobbigt.
Ja, men nu jag blir van med det.
Okej, du blir van med det?
Ja.
Okej. Sköt om det.
Peter och Jonas fortsätter att patrullera kring Sergels torg. På Sveavägen är Johan och hans kollega kvar vid butiken där röklarmet gått. De befarar att en eventuell inbrottstjuv fortfarande kan vara kvar i lokalen. Väktare har tillkallats för att låsa upp butiken.
Hallå? Tack. Nu ska jag hämta här. Här har jag aldrig varit med om det. Ja, det är någon som sparkar på dörren. Alltså kan du ha en sån grej som har löst det? Ja, det får på bara om de har såna här seismiska.
Ja, vår målbild är ju bara att kolla så att det är den.
Ja, det som har larmat heter IF Tobak. Jag har ingen aning vad det är.
Okej. Det är i och för sig det som man går för lite grann när man ska ta sig in här.
Jag gissar att ni har varit runt.
Ja.
Vi har inte varit uppe på tak.
Johans kollega undersöker butikens baksida och tak för att se om det finns några tecken på inbrott. Samtidigt har väktaren gått in i lokalen för att se om någon är kvar och för att stänga av larmet.
Fy fan vad mycket rök.
Ja, definitivt. Det måste krypa lite marken. Det lär man sig på förskolan. Precis.
Det går inte att röra sig där inne.
Johans kollega hittar inga tecken på inbrott.
Däremot är det någon som har slaggat där uppe någon gång tror jag. För det ligger kläder och alltså bohag.
Ja. Var det lätt att ta sig upp?
Nej, det var väldigt svårt.
Ja, så jag ska. Du är väldigt stark och snabb.
Exakt.
Nej, det är ingenting i alla fall. Det är tomt.
Ja, då är vi väldigt nöjda.
Perfekt. Då drar vi.
Ja, gör det.
Ja.
Tack för hjälpen.
Ja, tack själv. Tack själv.
Tack. Hej då.
Ja.
Peter och Jonas har kallats till Vasagatan utanför centralstationen där ordningsvakter och en civilklädd polis har uppmärksammat en narkotikatransaktion.
Ja. Känn, är det de två grabbarna som står framför min kollega?
Ja, precis.
Har ni sett överlåtelsen?
Nej, de andra vakterna, det var en kille som kom fram alltså, och sa att de hade...
Tjena grabbar! Tjena kompis!
Tjena.
Har du något på dig eller?
Nej, jag är ren också så kan jag kolla på också.
Är du ren?
Ja, det är så.
Ingenting?
Nej.
Kör du någon narkotika?
Nej. Jag är inte misstänkt för att heller. Jag kom ut minst 4 dagar sedan så det var möjligt för mig. Det var
Ut för 4 dagar sedan?
Ja.
Från vadå? Fängelse?
Häkte.
Häkte?
Ja.
Vad hade du gjort?
Rån och försökte rån. Men jag dömdes inte så.
Nej, okej.
Eller, jag väntar på dom nu.
Okej. Inga knivar på dig?
Nej.
Har någonting med förkallningen eller någonting? Säkert. Du kommer inte hitta någonting jag vill igenom.
Männen som Peter och den civila polisen undersöker har ingen narkotika på sig. Men en av männen visar sig vara eftersökt av polisen.
Du vet ju själv att ditt ärende är avslutat hos Migrationsverket. Och eftersom du inte har... Nej men lyssna. Och eftersom du inte har dykt upp hos polisen när man har begärt att du ska komma dit. Och då har du blivit efterlyst. Polisstationen. Och så får vi ta det därifrån. Så får vi se vad den kommer fram
Området utanför centralstationen är känt för att vara stökigt. Peter och Jonas bestämmer sig för att gå in på en restaurang för att prata med några ungdomar efter att ha fått tips om att något är på gång.
Vi försöker alltid inge förtroende och skapa relationer så att säga. Vi vill ju ha en dialog med folk. Annars får vi inte veta någonting. Han med röd tröja var inte så intresserad av en dialog. Så att vi förstod att det här var ju något speciellt. Sen att han skulle springa, det kanske jag inte hade räknat med.
Inbrott i en källarlokal. En man är kvar i lokalen. Ska jag ta mig ner här?
Nej, det är ju farligt.
Åh, fan. Vi får ett larm om inbrott i en källarlokal. Vittnet säger att en man har gått in och fortfarande är kvar i lokalen. Ligg still där. Ja, vi ser mannen här nere också. Vi ska bara se hur vi tar oss in här.
Lyssna, det är kvar där du ligger. Stanna där. Stanna.
Ska jag ta mig ner här?
Nej, det är ju farligt.
Åh, fan. Det är klart att det finns en risk med att gå ner själv när man inte vet vad det är för person och hur han kommer reagera när jag kommer ner i rummet.
Är det något mer i lokalen än du?
Man får ju värdera risken emot att, ja, men om man tappar honom i lokalen. Utan vi vill ju ha kontroll på honom så fort som möjligt.
Lyssna, slappna av.
Vid centralstationen söker Peter och Jonas igenom en restaurang då de får tips om att någonting är på gång. Plötsligt springer en av männen iväg från platsen.
Vem är det här?
Varför sprang han? Vi ställer honom upp.
Vad säger du för något? Vad säger du för något?
Ja, han var inte så intresserad av en dialog. Och han hade väldigt aggressiv framtoning. Så jag vände mig om till Jonas för att påkalla hans uppmärksamhet då.
Under det korta förloppet när han vände sig mot mig så började den här personen springa iväg.
Så av ren reflex springer ju vi efter. Vi är ju ändå poliser.
Varför springer du för? Vi stod ju bara och pratade med dig. Va? Och varför stack du för? Ja, men det blev en liten jakt där på 100 meter. Kom ordningsvakter som backade upp oss från andra hållet av Vasagatan. Så han fick ju vända lite åt höger där, så vi hann ju faktiskt ikapp honom efter cirka 100 meter.
Jag har fått en advokat, jag har inte gjort någonting.
Du kommer köra ut den vägen i alla fall.
Jag har inga problem, jag har inget.
Varför stack du då?
Det går lika provocerad.
Stå still.
Är du så lätt provocerad?
Ja.
Vi hittar ingenting som vi kan lagföra honom för. Men det är klart, misstankegraden ökar ju betydligt när man springer ifrån oss. Men något brottsligt blev det inte då, så att det blev ett avlägsnande helt enkelt.
Jag kommer in med honom. Bra.
Nej, slappna av. Slappna av.